Chapter 541. After Naruto fused with Shodai's cells, he felt very good. Although there were all kinds of pain during the fusion, the uncontrollable power in the body made Naruto particularly happy. The next question is whether to fuse with Hinata or not. It is reasonable to say that it is necessary. But, that kind of pain, Naruto is a little reluctant. Tobirama, give me a copy of Hinata's training data. After receiving Naruto's order, Tobirama called Hinata's information from the teacher panel and sent it to Naruto as quickly as possible. There are some video clips, and below the video is the medical perception barrier's data analysis of Hinata's physical functions. After reading Hinata's information, Naruto's mood was a little complicated. Has Hinata always worked so hard? The data shows that every time Hinata trained, the body's endurance is close to the maximum value that the body can bear. To reach this level, it requires an extremely strong will to overcome the accumulated fatigue of the body. At the same time, it can be seen that although Hinata didn't participate in the Mercenary Academy's courses, she hasn't been idle. Because this kind of intense training requires the body to have very good physical fitness. The reason why Hinata didn't go to the Mercenary Academy should be similar to Sasuke's idea. That is, she didn't want to waste the time of traditional ninja training. However, in Naruto's view, the understanding of the nature of power, although the training itself is indispensable. The most important thing is the understanding of the rules. Not to mention anything else, Sage Mode is the simplest example. Understanding the rules, using the rules, and obtaining higher authority can be truly extraordinary. It is also the real practice. Not to mention Sage Mode, take Naruto's fusion with Shodai's cells as an example. This kind of qualitative improvement is definitely not achieved by body forging every day. Of course, Shodai's cell strengthening is only one aspect. If you want to exert the real power, you can't do without the cultivation of the body. Tobirama replied. After I took over the training of Hinata, she has been so diligent. After listening to Tobirama's words, Naruto made a decision in his heart. To be more precise, Naruto made a decision after looking at Hinata's training materials. Whether or not Hinata would fuse with the first-generation cells would be up to Hinata. That day, when Hinata was in the second stage of training, Naruto called Hinata down. In the future, Hinata might not have the strength to resist the first-generation cells. Hinata, I have something to tell you. Hinata nodded obediently. Naruto took a deep breath and reorganized his words. Hinata, I have a way to increase your strength, but it requires you to endure great pain. Do you want to try it? There was no surprise in Hinata's eyes. In fact, Hinata had noticed it when Naruto modified the Dragon Eagle. Hinata nodded firmly. I want it. Hinata's answer was very straightforward. Naruto asked, Don't you want to ask about the specifics first? Hinata smiled sweetly. No need, Naruto-kun has already tested it for me. Hearing this, Naruto knew that Hinata should know what he did. The Dragon Eagle's improvement, and his improvement. This girl, Naruto pinched Hinata's face and praised. Not bad, not stupid at all. After praising Hinata, Naruto's expression became serious. However, this method requires you to endure great pain, mentally and physically. It requires a great amount of willpower to survive. Hinata nodded seriously. I will definitely be able to persevere. Naruto nodded and did not emphasize it. Since the decision had been made, Naruto chose to believe in Hinata. You wait here for a moment, I will go and prepare. Letting Hinata rest in her room, Naruto went to the laboratory. There was still half of Danzo's arm left. Naruto pulled out the Kusanagi no Tsurugi sword and cut off a large piece of flesh. The flesh left the whole body and shrunk into a ball, like a rolling meatball. It was the size of a fist. This amount was not small, only a little smaller than Naruto's fusion. Naruto put away Danzo's arm. On it, there was only a space the size of Naruto's eyeball left. Hinata, come in. The door of the laboratory opened, and Hinata walked in. Hinata's eyes swept across the laboratory. The blood in the laboratory had been cleaned up, and the dent marks had been repaired by Naruto. But there was still a faint smell of blood in the air. Where to fuse? Definitely not on the chest. If the first Hokage's face appeared on the chest, it would be too vulgar. Naruto's eyes looked at Hinata's body. The most suitable place to fuse was naturally the center of the body. After these experiments, especially after experiencing it himself, Naruto's understanding of the first Hokage's cells deepened. The first Hokage's will in the first Hokage's cells was not only the main factor affecting the fusion, but also the restriction of the power contained in the first Hokage's cells. If the will was erased, the power within would lose its restriction. Because of this, the transplanted cells would not gather together, but rather explode and spread everywhere. Turn around. Hinata heard Naruto's order and turned around. Hinata had already changed out of her training clothes and into her usual white dress, the kind with a zipper on the back. Naruto opened the zipper. Inside on the white back was the back strap of her bra. When Naruto touched the back strap, Hinata's body visibly trembled. Naruto was about to untie the strap when Hinata suddenly grabbed Naruto's hand. "Naruto-kun, do I have to untie it?" Did he have to untie it? Naruto looked at Hinata's white back. In fact, it was the same even if he didn't untie it, because other places were fine as well. Just now he just subconsciously. So embarrassing. Naruto secretly gulped. Cough cough, it's fine if you don't untie it. Hinata's ears turned even redder. Naruto lowered his head and took out a scalpel. He pierced the skin under the strap. Then he stuck the first Hokage's cells on it. After the first Hokage's cells sensed the blood, they automatically fused with it. Soon, the first Hokage's large face appeared on Hinata's back. But strangely, there was no wooden texture. There was also no devouring of Hinata's body. Naruto waited for a while, but nothing happened. It could only be said that the first Hokage's will accepted Hinata. To be more clear, it was the Hyuga clan, the bloodline of Otsutsuki Himura. However, Naruto could feel that the power of the first Hokage's cells was controlled by the first Hokage's will around the face, and there was no sign of it spreading. This wasn't what Naruto wanted. In Naruto's view, this fusion wasn't a real fusion. Also, Naruto didn't want to touch the first Hokage's face in the future. Naruto's soul entered the first Hokage's cells, and the first Hokage's will was erased. The first Hokage's will was erased, and the huge spiritual power and vitality contained in the cells completely erupted. Hinata's body directly curled up like a prawn. Should he leave and let Hinata bear it by herself? Suddenly, Naruto regretted erasing the first Hokage's will. No matter what, it was a fusion. There was no need to endure pain. But it was too late to say anything now. The Sharingan turned into the Mangekyo Sharingan, and Naruto stared at Hinata. "Hold on. I love you." Chapter 542. After giving Hinata a hint, Naruto left the laboratory. The two of them found Naruto after the Makijin training. "Where's Hinata?" Naruto didn't hide. "In the laboratory." While talking, a bulge suddenly appeared on the iron door on the rock wall of the laboratory. The door of the laboratory is 3 meters thick, but now there is a footprint on it. It can be seen how powerful it is. But Naruto knew that Hinata's leg is probably going to be broken. After the bulge was produced, the laboratory was quiet for a while. This should be the vitality of the first generation cells to repair Hinata. Naruto injected chakra into the laboratory to increase the laboratory's defense. The two looked at the bulge and retracted, and turned to look at Naruto. She wanted to ask but felt that it was not appropriate. Also, she wanted to ask about the Sharingan. But in what capacity should she ask? If it's a friend, it's okay, but her current identity is still very awkward. One wanted to ask but didn't dare to ask, and the other was worried about Hinata. In the end, neither of them said anything and just stood there waiting. The 5 dragon eagles seemed to feel something and flew over, looking at the laboratory with solemn eyes. In the blink of an eye, 5 hours passed. The roar in the laboratory was getting louder and louder, and the door was kicked and then immediately repaired. Until Hinata made a call to Naruto. "Naruto-kun, I survived." Naruto disappeared and directly appeared in the laboratory by relying on the flying thunder god jutsu left in the laboratory. Hinata saw Naruto suddenly appear and was stunned. Then she was held in Naruto's arms. Hinata's body was still bloodstained, and her clothes were torn. Hinata knew what she looked like and carefully shrunk into a ball. It was a little shameful, but more than that, it was sweet. She survived, and she didn't let Naruto-kun down. She should be able to help Naruto, right? After hugging for a long time, Naruto released Hinata and looked into Hinata's eyes. It didn't seem to have changed. Hinata, use supercilious eyes. Hinata followed Naruto's instructions and injected chakra into Byakugan. There was no change. Naruto was slightly disappointed. However, it didn't mean that it wouldn't open in the future. Okay, close it. I'll take you to the shower. With that, Naruto lifted Hinata up by her waist. Hinata blushed and said in a low voice, "No, I can wash it myself." Naruto smiled and said, "We're already an old couple. What's there to be shy about?" Hinata spat at Naruto. "No." Naruto carried Hinata to the bathroom. Okay, you wash it yourself." Naruto adjusted the water temperature and went out of the bathroom. However, he didn't expect that with a muffled sound, the bathtub was directly crushed by Hinata. Hinata's control of her strength was obviously not as good as Naruto's, so she lost control. "Hinata, are you okay?" Naruto rushed into the bathroom. Hinata was anxious and hugged her chest. "Don't come over." Naruto turned around. "Are you okay?" Hinata replied affirmatively. "I'm fine. I'll be fine after taking a shower." Naruto was about to go out of the bathroom. Hinata carefully picked up the nozzle. However, when she turned on the water valve, she didn't control her strength well and directly broke it. Splash! Hot and cold water sprayed out at the same time. Naruto froze it with ice in time. Then he turned off the main valve. Hinata was already wet at this time. She said pitifully, "Naruto-kun, is Hinata very useless?" Naruto replied, "No, it will take some time to adapt to the sudden increase in strength. Turn around, I'll wash you." This time, Hinata didn't refuse and turned around obediently. Naruto rebuilt the bathtub with steel release and then adjusted the water temperature with water release and boiling release. After washing the blood off Hinata's body, he put Hinata in the bathtub. "Okay, now you can wash yourself." Naruto sat with his back against the bathtub. Hinata closed her eyes tightly, and her eyelashes trembled nervously. After feeling the warm water wrapped around her body, she carefully opened her eyes. She saw Naruto sitting with his back against the bathtub. This time, Hinata didn't let Hinata leave. After washing, "Naruto-kun, my ID card." Naruto took it out from his pocket and handed it to her. Hinata's original ID card was already destroyed when she awakened the sigil mode. This was made by Naruto later. He added live steel to it so it survived. Hinata stuck the ID card on her arm. After the ID card was inserted into chakra, it became invisible on her arm. She opened the inventory panel. Hinata was about to change her clothes. "Naruto-kun, can you go out?" Naruto's face was already red. With his back facing her, he looked like a gentleman. However, Hinata's perception barrier had already seen everything. After all, since Hinata's ID card was taken off, the original function of shielding her from being scanned was no longer effective. "Ah yes, I'll go out now." But then she heard a tearing sound behind her. Hinata, who was wiping her body with a towel, didn't control it well, and tore the towel to shreds. Naruto stopped in his tracks. How about I help you put on your clothes?" "Don't worry, I'll close my eyes." Silence. Nervousness. Finally, Naruto heard Hinata say "okay," in a voice as soft as a mosquito's. "But wait for me to put on the inside." Hinata summoned her little clothes. She carefully changed into them. The first one broke. The second one broke again. Finally, she carefully put on the third one. Next was her bra. The bra strap broke again. After Hinata put on her little clothes, she handed the dress to Naruto. Then she turned around with her back facing him and her hands raised. This was a dress. She could just put it on from the top. Naruto said, "Don't worry. I'll close my eyes." Then Naruto's hand accidentally touched Hinata's chest. Hinata had already retracted her hand to block it. Then one of her dresses broke. "Naruto-kun." Naruto replied, "Sorry, I didn't do it on purpose. I closed my eyes and didn't see it." Hinata's face turned even redder. The second time, the clothes broke again. "Naruto-kun, You'd better open your eyes. The third time finally succeeded. She looked at the broken pieces on the ground. Naruto smiled and said, "It's okay, leave it here. I'll clean it up myself later." Hinata hurriedly rolled up the little clothes in the broken dress. Naruto blinked his eyes with hidden bitterness. "Naruto-kun." When Hinata finished dealing with the clothes, she called out timidly, "Naruto, Hinata's heart was beating wildly. "It's okay, I just wanted to call out." A layer of charm rose in Naruto's heart. He quietly raised his hand and hugged Hinata in his arms. "Tonight, why don't you stay at my place?" Both of their hearts were beating a little fast. At this moment, Naruto's door was knocked. "Naruto, is Hinata okay?" "Naruto, come out." Naruto's little face instantly turned as black as the bottom of a pot. "Damn it, when did I provoke you? You're all here to ruin my good thing." "Naruto-kun, let's go out, don't let Sister Yujito worry." Naruto was angry. He lowered his head and kissed Hinata's cheek. Naruto exhaled. "Phew, I'm not so angry now, let's go." "Hinata." Chapter 543. Rain Country. Pain, Yahiko and Haiden left the Rain Country. On the surface, there were only two people, but Naruto knew that Konan was also with them. This was thanks to the Akatsuki's rings. After Naruto invaded the Akatsuki's spiritual network, these rings became the most powerful means for Naruto to monitor the Akatsuki. But what Naruto was most concerned about was where Nagato was now. The 6 paths of pain were Nagato's puppets. If Nagato didn't die, Pain wouldn't die. So if he wanted to defeat Pain, he had to kill Nagato. There was no rain in the Rain Country today. Under the clear sky, the streets were full of tourists. Some of them just basked in the sun and took a walk, but most of them took the opportunity to buy more things for their family. Above the crowd, a small flying squirrel stretched out its limbs, gliding over the top of a building in the blind spot of the crowd. It flew to the tallest building in the Rain Country. Naruto guessed that the building should be Nagato's hiding place, because Naruto specifically observed that Konan and Pain would enter that building. Naruto approached while paying attention to the movements of the Akatsuki members marked on the map. Most of them were in the apartments of the Akatsuki members. Naruto went all the way. There were fewer and fewer people on the street. Naruto found the right time to flash into the building. The building was empty. It would be quiet, without the slightest sound. This reminded Naruto of the building he went to when he was learning medical ninjutsu in Woodleaf. There was no one, and it was quiet. The perception barrier was opened, and the lower floors were unimpeded. System prompt. Barrier found ahead. System prompt. Barrier type compared to database. System prompt. Database comparison successful. Naruto had a panel in front of him. The panel recorded the information of the barrier. Barrier type, perception barrier. Barrier type, triggered alarm perception barrier. Barrier level, advanced. Cracking difficulty, advanced. System cracking success rate, 10%. System prompt. Do you want the system to crack it? Naruto didn't hesitate to choose no. This wasn't the garbage barrier of the Takigaikure that could be handed over to the system. The reason why the Takigaikure's barrier could be handed over to the system was that it could be found in the database. In other words, there was an answer to the question, and the one in front of him was a new type. There was no one around, so Naruto began to crack the barrier in front of him. After 10 minutes, the barrier was broken. Naruto continued to sneak. There was no one on the top floor. However, Naruto found a black tube on the ground. Pains had it. Obviously, Naruto had an 80% chance of finding the right place. Should he go to other places looked? While Naruto was thinking, a voice suddenly came from behind him. Who are you? Found out. Naruto was Obio was Hiko. Hito and was Hito was Hito. Was Kusa's do. Was leaning of to SSSS. He was wearing the Akatsuki's uniform, and there were ugly wrinkles on both sides of his nose. Naruto was familiar with this face. Every time he looked at it, he felt that this guy was getting old. It was Uchiha Itachi. The moment Naruto saw Uchiha Itachi, Itachi's eyes were 3 Tomo Sharingan. Genjutsu was activated. Naruto's world went black. Then it returned to normal. Naruto dodged far away from Itachi. If you used the ability of Manjikyu Sharingan directly, I would have died here. Naruto's eyes fell on Itachi's hand. This guy took off the Akatsuki's ring. No wonder he didn't find him. The three Tomo Sharingan didn't trap Naruto, which surprised Itachi. As for why he didn't use Tsukuyomi, it was because his body was too weak, so he didn't want to use it. While Itachi was sizing up Naruto, Naruto said, "You took off the Akatsuki's ring and sneaked in here. I think you are also a spy, right? Since we are, how about we pretend we didn't meet?" Itachi mocked. "I saw you sneaking around, so I chased after you. Don't admit it? Was it because there was someone else here?" Since he was discovered, Naruto didn't hide anymore. The perception barrier expanded instantly. On the roof, there was chakra's fluctuation. If it's not here, then it's white Zetsu. Naruto's eyes lit up. White Zetsu means Hashirama cells. Naruto's two invisible wind blades instantly cut down the square, followed by a sealing technique. Then he put the square away in front of Itachi. Itachi didn't stop or attack. He looked at Naruto and asked, "Who are you?" Naruto replied, "Why do you care who I am? What does it have to do with you? The white Zetsu hidden in the wood has been taken away by me. There are no outsiders here. Who are you pretending for? Aren't you tired?" Itachi's three Tomo Sharingan was still open. "Are you proud? You were able to catch those three guys mainly because I used Genjutsu to imprison them. There was such a thing? But then again, the sealing went too smoothly." "Oh, I see. Thank you. How about I treat you to a meal next time? Just pretend you didn't see anything this time." Naruto injected wood chakra into the beam, and the half-cut square grew a section and reconnected it. If one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't have noticed it. Itachi's eyes narrowed slightly. Naruto said to himself, "Orochimaru isn't easy to deal with, right? You're lucky that you didn't die under his hands. It's better if you don't use Manjikyu Sharingan now." Itachi hesitated, but in the end, he chose to use Manjikyu Sharingan, because it was the fastest way to end the battle. Manjikyu Sharingan Tsukuyomi. The little flying squirrel's body stiffened, then turned into a piece of wood and fell to the ground. Would release clone. Naruto's voice came from all directions. "Hey, I told you not to use it. Why do you think I said that to you? Of course, it's useless even if you use it. To be honest, I'm a little disappointed in you. I've heard legends about you a long time ago. Entering the shinobi school at the age of 6 and graduating at the age of 7. Opening the Sharingan at the age of 8. Rising to Chunin at the age of 10. Joining the Anbu at the age of 11. And the most powerful one at the age of 13. Wiping out the Uchiha clan. In my heart, you're almost omnipotent." "I know, but he's a fool. No wonder Sasuke is quite stupid. He's two idiots." Hearing about Sasuke, a light flashed in Itachi's eyes. The main reason for looking for Orochimaru this time wasn't to kill him, but to understand his brother's situation. But Orochimaru said that Sasuke had left. With Uzumaki Naruto. Itachi asked, "Do you know Sasuke?" Naruto replied, "Let's run. That guy is coming." After that, there was no sound around. Chapter 544. Naruto disappeared. Just as Itachi was about to leave, Naruto's voice came again. "By the way, if you can't run away and are discovered by Zetsu, you can say that you followed Tsunade here, and then Tsunade disappeared. If you do well, I'll tell you the news of Sasuke." After 2 sentences, this time Naruto really left. Frame Tsunade. Tsunade just saved his life, and he couldn't do such a thing. But the news of his brother was also important. Itachi's face was not very good, and he disappeared in place in a flash. At the same time, Naruto suddenly appeared in Tsunade's room. Flying Thunder God Jutsu. But the Flying Thunder God Jutsu was under Tsunade's bed. Naruto the little flying squirrel got out from under the bed. On the bed, Tsunade was lying on her side, holding her cheek and looking at the little guy who suddenly appeared with surprise. Naruto spoke first. "Tsunade-ne-san, guess who I am?" Bang. For a moment, Tsunade felt like she was struck by lightning. She pointed at Naruto in disbelief and said, "You are you." Naruto grinned, revealing his big white teeth. It's not that Tsunade didn't guess the little flying squirrel's identity. In fact, when she first came to the Akatsuki, Tsunade began to guess Naruto's identity, but several probings were blocked by him. Thus, this layer of suspicion disappeared. Then she shifted her gaze elsewhere. She began to pay attention to the residents of the Rain Country, but she didn't find anything. For this reason, she wondered if Orochimaru lied to her. Tsunade had a guess in her heart, but she still didn't dare to admit it. There were many factors, such as the guy in front of her was faked by Orochimaru, or the Akatsuki was testing her. While Tsunade was hesitating, a Rasengan appeared in Naruto's paw. Tsunade's eyes widened. Then Naruto used Shadow Clone Jutsu. I'm Uzumaki Naruto, and Shizen changed the hair dye formula you gave me, so my hair changed several colors. If this doesn't prove it, then Tsunade-ne-san, do you want to have a fart candy? Tsunade's surprised expression instantly darkened. What the hell, fart candy? That thing can be said to be the biggest stain in her life. Naruto eat a bear's heart or what? How dare he mention it? However, this does prove Naruto's identity. You little bastard, why didn't you tell me now? But, how did you become like this? Tsunade was still angry a second ago, but the next second, she felt distressed. A rat. Can't change can't? Finally, Tsunade finally believe him. Naruto breathed a sigh of relief and waved his hand. Let's talk about that later. I'm going to send you away now. Naruto summoned Hinata. Hinata, take Tsunade-ne-san back. Hinata didn't address Tsunade as casually as Naruto. After seeing Tsunade, she bowed politely. Tsunade-sama, come with me. As she spoke, she activated reverse teleportation, and a circle of light appeared beside Hinata. Tsunade-sama, stand in the circle of light. Tsunade looked at Naruto. Naruto urged, go with Hinata, don't worry about me, I'll be back soon. By the way, leave the Akatsuki's ring here. Don't take it with you. Tsunade nodded, took off the ring, and threw it on the bed. The circle of light rose and turned into a column, illuminating the two. Then there was a bang. The highly condensed chakra stirred up a burst of water mist. Naruto destroyed the traces of teleportation. Flying Thunder God Jutsu. When Naruto reappeared, it was at Tuban's house. This Tuban wasn't the stupid pig in Shizen's arms, but Fugu's sister. I'm here to take you to see your brother. However, Naruto didn't take Tuban away by himself, but summoned Hinata again. Do you remember your sister? We've added each other as friends and chatted before. Tuban nodded happily and said, can I finally see my brother? Hinata picked up Tuban. Tuban was holding the electronic eye that Naruto sent as Fugu. It was as if he was holding a rare treasure. The circle of light rose, and the two disappeared. After doing this, Naruto breathed a sigh of relief. While Nagato was away, it was the best time to send Tsunade and the little girl away. Naruto disappeared again with Flying Thunder God Jutsu. He appeared in the Akatsuki's apartment. He returned to Deidara's room. He was lying on his bed as if nothing had happened. At the same time, Uchiha Itachi got rid of Zetsu and returned to the Akatsuki's apartment. He wasn't caught by Zetsu, so he didn't say the words left by Naruto. When passing by Deidara's room, Uchiha Itachi hesitated. He raised his hand and knocked on the door. Dang, dang, dang. The door opened, but it wasn't Naruto or Deidara who opened the door. It was a clay spider. At such a close distance, looking at the self-destructing spider swaying in front of his eyes, even Uchiha Itachi felt a little uncomfortable. But he didn't show it, and his eyes coldly swept around the room. The little rat was still there. Deidara, who was lying on the bed, saw the person at the door and frowned. What's the matter? You're not welcome here. The self-destructing spider was so close to this guy, should he try to detonate it? Deidara was a little eager to try. However, Uchiha Itachi closed the door and left. Deidara. Psycho. After saying that, he looked at the little flying squirrel. The little guy just went out for a walk. Is it related to the little guy? Preserved egg. Did he come for you? Did you mess with this guy? Naruto's face was black. The name Preserved Egg was Preserved Egg's self-introduction. Since then the entire Akatsuki called him Preserved Egg. How shameful. Go to sleep. If you can't sleep, I'll just knock you out. Dedale rolled his eyes and continued to take a nap. He really couldn't afford to offend his master. At the same time, in the Rain Country's main hall, it was the place where Naruto sneaked in. Zetsu's head rose from the ground and looked around with a serious face. The barrier was broken by brute force. 3 white Zetsus suddenly disappeared. Who did it? Why? Black Zetsu's face was serious. White Zetsu said. 3 more poor guys died. Yes, 3 more died. There were already 3 missing on Obito's body. Black Zetsu muttered. Tell this to Nagato first. That guy just left, and someone came to this room. It's very unusual. Akatsuki meeting. Tsunade was absent. Where is Tsunade? White Zetsu then sneaked into Tsunade's room under Zetsu's order. Only Tsunade's ring was left on the bed. Zetsu replied. Tsunade defected, leaving only the ring. Yahiko Tendo Pain said, so Tsunade did it? Pain turned to look at Uchiha Itachi. Your ring was taken off just now. Chapter 545. Pain Yahiko. I just took off your ring. Everyone looked at Itachi. Itachi simply replied. I took it off to wash my hands. It was a very normal reason, but in this special period of time, it seemed a little strange. Pain looked at Naruto again. Yahiko didn't ask, and Naruto didn't answer. One big and one small, one tall and one short, they looked at each other. Naruto was a special case in the Akatsuki. Because of the excuse of his body size, Naruto wore the rings around his neck. He only wore them when the Akatsuki had a meeting. Yahiko didn't ask in the end and glanced at the others. Tsunade defected, and she's responsible for tracking and collecting information. The vacancy of the 10th person will be discussed when I return to the Rain Country. The meeting ended. Naruto was relieved. This time, it was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. First, Naruto successfully rescued Tsunade and Tubu. Second, Nagato's movements were determined. In Deidara's dormitory, Deidara put down his hand with a look of disappointment. I didn't expect Tsunade to defect. Naruto glanced at Deidara's face. Deidara's disappointment didn't seem to be fake. Deidara was interested in Tsunade. Naruto knew that Deidara had made Tsunade's clay figurine. Also, a wild child with no one to care for him. He might have some Oedipus complex. Naruto contacted Century Egg and said, I'll leave this to you. I have to go back to deal with something. Naruto's soul returned to his body, and the body of the little flying squirrel was given to Century Egg by Naruto. Preserved Egg stretched himself lazily. He tilted his head and glanced at Deidara. Then he said, What's wrong, kid? You want a woman? Do you want to go to the back street? Back street, the Rain Country's red light district. As soon as this sentence came out, Deidara's face directly flushed. On the other side, Naruto didn't care what Century Egg did. Now both Tsunade and Tun were waiting for him to go back and explain. First was Tun. Naruto entered the pufferfish's body. The pufferfish's spiritual world was as calm as ever. The pufferfish's consciousness, or rather, its original soul, was sleeping peacefully. It didn't have the slightest intention of coming out. Naruto's spirit body arrived in front of the pufferfish, who had his eyes closed and a peaceful expression on his face. Naruto had a feeling that this guy's consciousness should have awakened long ago. It was as if he was pretending to be asleep. However, this fellow's soul was so calm that it made one's hair stand on end. It was like a rock. He really couldn't be sure. I took your sister away from the country of rain. Blowfish. I'm going to kill your sister. Blowfish. I plan to sell her to a brothel. Blowfish. Naruto. Is it not working? Did he lie too carelessly or what? The threat didn't work. Naruto felt that he should change his strategy. You should stop pretending to be asleep. If you wake up now, you can reunite with your sister. Don't worry, I won't kill you. After all, you've helped me a lot, and I believe that with your character, you'll definitely sell out the country of rain very straightforwardly for your sister, so I'm not worried about you. Besides, even if you want to do something, you can't do it. The pufferfish slept peacefully, Naruto. Forget it, why are you talking so much nonsense with you? If you want to pretend to be asleep, then continue to sleep. Naruto's spirit body returned to the main body. Naruto contacted Hinata and said, "Where are Tun and Tsunade?" Hinata heard Naruto's voice and immediately replied, "Waiting for you in the dining room." Naruto looked at the time. Dining room? It wasn't dinner time now. Hinata replied, "Tun said she's hungry." Naruto didn't ask, and went directly out of the room to the dining room. Since Naruto secretly left the Akatsuki with Tun's body, Naruto handed over Tun's food, clothing, housing, and transportation to others. He didn't show up, but put a long-term task of cooking for Tun on the Country of Rain's D-level task list. The payment was made by other people under Naruto's control. The person who received the task was an ordinary middle-aged woman. Naruto didn't care about it after determining that it wouldn't cause any danger to Tun. It stands to reason that Tun shouldn't be hungry. Naruto walked to the dining room while recalling Tun's thin body when he saw her. Could it be? Walking into the dining room, Tun was holding a chicken leg and eating with her mouth full of oil. An electronic eye rolled around the table, staring at all kinds of delicious food. Tsunade and Hinata sat on the side and watched the little girl eat, and from time to time, they urged her to eat slowly. "Naruto-kun, you're here." As soon as Hinata opened her mouth, Tsunade's gaze instantly shifted from Tun's face to Naruto's body. "This is Naruto." Tsunade was shocked by Naruto's height and strong physique. In fact, after fusing with Shodai's cells, Naruto's body shrank a lot, otherwise, the visual impact would be stronger. But after fusing with Shodai's cells, there was another visual impact, which was that Naruto's skin was very white. It made Naruto look a lot more beautiful. Of course, what made Tsunade more concerned was the eye patch on Naruto's left eye. She didn't care about anything else and directly asked, "Your eye?" Originally, Sharingan didn't consume much for Naruto. Especially after Sharingan appeared on his spiritual body, the consumption was even smaller. The reason why Naruto wore an eye patch was that he didn't want to attract too much attention. But now it seems that he overreached himself and attracted Tsunade's attention. "It's okay, I just changed an eye." After saying that, Naruto took off the eye patch and put it on the table. He opened his eyes, revealing the 3 Tomo Sharingan. Tsunade was surprised. "How do you have a Sharingan?" The origin of this eye was troublesome to explain. Because this eye was swapped from Kakashi's body, Naruto didn't intend to explain in detail and directly replied, "I got it from killing Danzo." "Didn't Danzo transplant the Sharingan to his arm?" "That arm was obtained by me." Of course, Tsunade knew about that arm. She was there at the time. Later, she lost consciousness because of hematophobia. When she woke up, Naruto told her that Danzo used the 4 symbols seal to destroy that arm. "I remember you didn't say that at the time." Tsunade's beautiful eyes stared. No matter what, she was still Naruto's people, and her momentum was not small. But she didn't scare Naruto, but the little girl who was wolfing down the food was startled. Suddenly, she didn't dare to continue eating. She looked at them with a worried face. Naruto scolded, "Quiet, look at you, you scared Tun so much that she didn't dare to eat." Tsunade continued to stare at Naruto, but Naruto didn't move at all. He turned to comfort Tun and said, "It's okay, this big sister is not angry at you. If you want to eat, just keep eating." Tun put down the drumstick in her hand. "I'm full." Naruto looked at Tun. For this cute little girl, Naruto also liked Naruto very much. "Don't be afraid, I'm your brother's friend. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. You can call me Brother Naruto from now on. After eating, I'll take you to see your brother in a while." As soon as she heard her brother, Tun's face showed joy. "Then I'm full now, can I see my brother?" Naruto nodded in agreement. "But before that, you tell Brother Naruto, why are you so hungry? Your brother should have arranged someone to take care of you." Speaking of this, the little girl's mouth pouted, looking very wronged. On the other side, Tsunade saw that Naruto dared to ignore her and was very angry, but when she saw the little girl was about to cry, she also looked over. Tun said submissively, "That person was good to me at first, but then she made less and less things for me." At first there was still meat, but then there was no green vegetables. She said that my brother gave less and less money. Later, when I took out my savings, that person also robbed my savings. She said that my brother owed her a debt. Hearing this, Naruto's face couldn't be more ugly. The little girl's situation was arranged by him. In terms of responsibility, he should be blamed for not arranging it well. If it wasn't for his arrangement, maybe the little girl could have lived well with her savings. Don't cry, you won't be hungry in Naruto brother's place. I'll take you to see your brother. Chapter 546. Country of Rain Civilian District. The door of Fugu's house was unlocked, and a fat middle-aged woman walked in. Fugu? Fugu? The fat woman turned her head, and 3 or 4 layers of chin were squeezed out from her neck. A pair of stealthy triangular eyes scanned the room. No one responded. The fat woman couldn't help but mutter. Could it be that she starved to death? I remember leaving something for her. The fat woman found the pot she left in the refrigerator. No one moved. Just as she was about to search the other rooms, a voice suddenly appeared behind her. You gave her this kind of thing? The fat woman was shocked. She turned her head and saw a big mouse staring at her with its legs crossed. A talking ninja beast. The fat woman's heart beat faster. She had seen ninja beasts before, and the more powerful the ninja, the more powerful the ninja beast. As for how powerful the ninja beast was, she didn't know. At this time, the fat woman's heart was pounding, thinking about the relationship between this ninja beast and the girl. How could it be? This is the leftovers. I said to throw it away, but the little girl is very thrifty, so she didn't want to. The big mouse on the sofa nodded. Oh, is that so? The fat woman hurriedly said. Yes, you see, the food is rotten. I'll go throw it away and then cook for Mississippi this time. The fat woman's change of address was very fast. Just now she called her by her name, and now she called her Mississippi. The big mouse didn't stop her, watching the woman throw the food into the trash can. The woman looked at the bag in her hand, and her face was tangled. The bag was her family's leftovers, which she originally planned to give to the blind girl directly. But obviously, she couldn't take it out now. The big mouse said, What are you looking at? Didn't you say to cook? The fat woman hurriedly closed the bag and respectfully said, Look at my memory. I actually forgot to buy groceries. I'm old. It's easy to forget this and that. I'll go buy groceries. The fat woman turned around and wanted to slip away. Naruto said, What's in your bag? The fat woman was guilty, and her face was a little pale. This, you mean this? This is some leftovers I brought for my family's puppy. That's right. My family is poor, so I try to save as much as I can. Sir, I'll go buy some groceries first. If I don't delay Mrs. Meal, I'll be guilty. The fat woman was about to rush out when Naruto spoke again. Wait, show me the leftovers. The fat woman's body stiffened. This is leftovers from a poor family. I won't dirty your eyes. Naruto's tone turned cold. Give it to me. The fat woman's body trembled, and she took it with trembling hands. She wanted to escape, but she knew she couldn't escape. She has seen the means of ninjas, and she has fought many battles in the past few years. The streets were filled with corpses, scaring the children at home, and causing them to cry for a whole day. Only by hitting her with a stick could she stop crying. This is just a little bit of food for the dog. You want to see? Naruto said coldly. Open it. The fat woman opened the bag in her hand. The food inside was even worse than pig feed. Moreover, it wasn't the leftovers that had been cooked properly. The food had gone bad. Sticking together, for the dog to eat? She didn't even bring food for the dog. Naruto's anger rushed to the top of his head. The reward for the task he issued was only 1,000 taels. But it came with a card. Naruto asked someone to charge money into the card regularly. In the end, the little girl actually Tion ate this kind of food. Throw away the food. The fat woman was stunned, and then she hurriedly threw it into the trash can. Naruto's voice was extremely cold. Now eat all the food and rice in the trash can. The fat woman's body stiffened, and she looked down at the trash can. It was a sticky lump, and the smell rushed into her nose. making her feel nauseous. Sir, you are. Naruto stared at her. You have two choices. Eat it all or die. The fat woman's heart skipped a beat. She guessed that she probably couldn't hide her matter. That damn girl should have said all those things. I will eat. The fat woman gritted her teeth, took the trash can and began to eat. But after just one bite, she spat it out. She vomited more than she ate. While coughing violently, the fat woman suddenly felt a chill on her neck. Then plop. Her head fell into the trash can. Naruto cursed. This time you are lucky. I wanted to let you eat it all, but I didn't expect you to make me feel so disgusted. Once the fat woman died, a big fire suddenly surged. The fire distorted the vision. Naruto's figure flashed and disappeared in the fire. In the little flying squirrel's spiritual world, Preserved Egg said. If you ask me, you should let her finish eating. Naruto's vision turned black. If I watch her finish eating, I won't be able to eat for a month. Only an idiot would punish himself for someone else's mistake. Preserved Egg replied. Wouldn't that be better? Naruto rolled his eyes. He didn't talk nonsense with Preserved Egg and returned to his main body. Since she was dead, the debt was settled. In his main body, the little girl saw her brother. Her brother was lying on the hospital bed. According to the reason Naruto gave her, her brother was seriously ill, so he was in a coma. The little girl held Fugu's hand. A floating electronic eye stared at Fugu's face. The little girl's face was full of tears. Naruto couldn't stand this atmosphere. It was his fault that Fugu was like this. The room was left to the little girl, and Naruto stood outside the room. Tsunade followed beside him. Tsunade's eyes were like knives, and Naruto felt a little scared. Ahem, Sister Tsunade. You don't have to look at me like that, right? Tsunade's face was cold. I can see that you have grown up. Naruto originally wanted to use the little girl to change the topic. He didn't expect Tsunade to be as easy to fool as he thought. If it was Hinata, she definitely wouldn't continue to ask that. Where were we just now? Naruto scratched his head and pretended to be stupid. I'm just worried about the little girl. Ahem, about the Sharingan. It's my fault I hid it. Hearing Naruto's apology, Tsunade's face finally eased. You hid it anyway, you killed Danzo. Now let's talk about you. Why did you leave with Leaf? Naruto scratched his head. Didn't you leave first? After you left, those people made things difficult for me. I was so angry that I left. Tsunade glared at Naruto again. So it's my fault? Naruto admitted again and again. No. It's my own decision. Tsunade snorted. I've long seen that you're restless. Then what's going on with your current appearance? Naruto's appearance, not only did his hair change from golden yellow to red, but his right eye also changed into a scarlet vertical pupil. There's also his unreasonable height. It's only been more than a year, and Naruto has grown from a little bean sprout to an old cucumber. If it weren't for Hinata, she wouldn't dare to admit it. The changes in the body are also multifaceted. Naruto also didn't want to explain in detail, and simply pushed the matter to Nine Tails. This should be related to Nine Tails' chakra. Tsunade frowned, raised her hand, lifted Naruto's clothes, and exposed his abdomen. Hinata on the side stared, but didn't stop her. Tsunade pressed her hand on Naruto's abdomen and frowned deeper. What about Nine Tails' seal? Naruto smiled and said, that was lifted by me. The more she asked, the more Tsunade felt that Naruto was full of mysteries. But after seeing the Sharingan, she thought of a possibility. You used the Sharingan to subdue Nine Tails? The matter of Nine Tails was even more complicated. Naruto didn't intend to go into detail, and nodded. Yes. Then Tsunade continued to interrogate. Naruto answered Tsunade's questions while paying attention to the movements of the Akatsuki members who left the village. When the Akatsuki members contacted Hirako, it would be time for him to attack Nagato. Chapter 547. In the Fire Nation, a stronghold of the Underground Exchange, Hirako and a middle-aged man were sitting across from each other. The middle-aged man's body was rather plump, and his rolling body made the chair creak as he sat. My lord, our boss said, although he doesn't know why you're looking for him, according to the rules, It's best not to meet in private. If you really have something important to discuss, you can apply for the Five Nation Conference. Hiroko glared at the fatty. However, the fatty acted as if he didn't see it. He lowered his head and sipped his tea, as if he was sure that Hiroko wouldn't do anything to him. However, no matter how well he acted, no matter how indifferent he was, it was all just an act. Hiroko saw that the fatty's face was already sweating. Moreover, the hand holding the teacup wasn't very stable either. Hiroko observed the fatty in front of him with great interest. The reason why the fatty was able to remain calm and sit in front of him was mainly because the rules of the underground exchange forbade anyone from attacking their own employees. Furthermore, the fatty was here on behalf of a big shot with a similar position as him. However, no matter what, the weak were still weak in front of the strong. This was the best respect the weak could give to the strong. Thinking that, Hiroko thought of himself. He was also very scared right now, because the mission given to him by his superiors was to wait for death here. Although he was promised that he would be revived afterwards. Still not here? Hiroko was a bit anxious. Fatty finished his cup of tea. Hiroko didn't say anything, so Fatty didn't dare to leave. He poured himself another cup and continued to act dumb. After drinking several cups of tea and being nervous, Fatty couldn't help but want to go to the toilet. Hold it in? Humans have 3 exigencies, and going to the toilet wasn't something he could control. If he peed his pants because of nervousness, not only would he be in big trouble, later on his boss would have to kill him too. My lord, I'm going to the toilet. Please continue to think about it. Hiroko didn't agree, nor did he nod. However, this was his home ground, the Fire Nation. Fatty smiled awkwardly, but still slipped away. Right after Fatty left, Hiroko stared at the wall in front of him and said, "Since you're here, come out." A human face protruded out of the flat wall. The color of the dirt faded away, revealing a young man with slicked back hair. The young man was wearing a black windbreaker, and a blood-red cloud could be seen on the chest of the windbreaker. They were from the Akatsuki organization. The person that boss had asked him to wait for had arrived. Hiroko looked at Haiden, and Haiden also looked at Hiroko with a look of disbelief. "You're really not dead?" Fei Duan walked out of the wall and scratched his head in confusion. "That's not right. By the way, do you have a twin brother?" "I remember. I cut off your head. And the hearts of your 4 subordinates. I've dug them out too. That's strange. Could it be that you're also a follower of the Lord Evil God?" Hiroko gloomily gulped down the tea in his cup. Instead of answering Fei Duan's question, he asked, "You want to kill me by yourself?" Flying Duan's left arm twisted and turned into a sickle tentacle. "You're the mission I accepted. Since you're not dead, I naturally have to continue sending you on your way." Saying so, the sickle tentacle suddenly shot towards Hiroko. Using a substitution technique, Hiroko switched places with the bookshelf in the room. The bookshelf was pierced through, and the books on it fell to the ground. Fei Duan attacked again. The sickle tentacle was like a sea urchin, extending several sharp spikes that filled the entire room. This time, Hiroko was hit and pierced through. The sickle tentacle that pierced through Hiroko's body suddenly swept out, wanting to tear Hiroko's body apart. In fact, Hiroko's body was indeed torn apart. The parts that were torn apart turned into ashes, drifted out, then drifted back. Hiroko's body was reassembled in perfect condition. "Edo Tensei, you're already dead?" Fei Duan had seen Orochimaru use Edo Tensei before. He saw it when the Akatsuki was chasing Orochimaru. Suddenly, a third person's voice came from the room. "So the one behind you is Orochimaru?" Pain Yahiko appeared in front of Hiroko. At this time, Hiroko was much calmer than the fatty from before. "Continue to attack. I should be immortal now. Maybe I can drag someone down with me before I disappear." With that, Hiroko rushed towards Fei Duan. The scene in front of Naruto also fell into the eyes of Hiroko. When he heard Pain Yahiko mention Orochimaru, Naruto's eyes suddenly lit up. Throw the blame to Orochimaru. So he quickly said to Hiroko, "No matter how Pain Yahiko asks, you have to insist that you are not Orochimaru's people. This way, the Akatsuki will be more suspicious of Orochimaru's people." "Well, it's a good idea. While thinking, Pain Yahiko also suddenly appeared in the room. The moment he saw Pain Yahiko, Naruto knew that his idea may not work. Pain Yahiko can check people's memories. Can Edo Tensei also check people's deaths? Naruto didn't want to gamble, he didn't want to try. The first step of the plan has been perfectly completed, and more than enough. So Naruto directly summoned Hirako with the summoning technique. When Hirako was summoned and saw Naruto, he suddenly had a feeling of tears. "Boss, I don't have to die?" But he didn't expect Naruto to point in a direction and said, "East and west, choose a direction to escape. If they don't catch up, you don't have to die." Hirako. With that, Naruto rushed to the north. In the north, 1 kilometer away, Konan's position was marked on the map. Naruto guessed that Nagato was there. After Naruto left, Hirako gritted his teeth and ran to the east. After Hirako left, Guni and the other 2 girls popped their heads out from a nearby farmhouse. "Should we also join in the fun?" Little Guni looked at her 2 sisters eagerly. Guni's eyes lit up. But Guni said with a serious face, "Don't mess around. Naruto told us to wait for his news and be on standby. Did you forget?" Guni shrunk her neck. "I'm just a little curious. What's so special about the enemy this time that Naruto Innocent cares so much about them? Then, since we can't chase after those guys, how about we go to Hinata, Inai-san's place?" Guni shared the map. On the shared map, Hinata and Tobarama weren't far from them. Guni seconded. Guni seconded. The 3 girls' figures began to fade, and finally, they became invisible. The seal of invisibility was invented by Naruto when he was still a wood leaf. At that time, he used it on Nagato and controlled it to go to Orochimaru's laboratory. Now the 3 girls were using it on their armor. At the same time, in the Great Snow Mountain Research Institute, Naruto's 2 clones were still fooling Tsunade and the 2 Yujito. The reason why there were 2 clones was because the other one turned into Hinata. Tsunade glanced at Hinata from time to time. Today, Hinata was quieter than usual. After walking around the living room for a while, she returned to her room. Tsunade frowned and asked the 2 Yujito, "Yujito, is Hinata's appearance that serious?" The 2 Yujito were taken aback. "Hinata's appearance? No, right?" Tsunade's frown deepened. She asked, "Naruto's appearance?" The 2 Yujito shook their heads. "Not really." Tsunade shook her head and stopped thinking about it. Chapter 548. Found it. On the map, Naruto's position was only a few steps away from Konan's position. In front of Naruto's eyes, the thick tree swayed gently in the wind, and the leaves rustled. Whether it was visual or auditory, the tree in front of him was really amazing. The most amazing thing was that under the gaze of the Sharingan, there was no reaction from chakra. It should be a special technique to hide the curse. Naruto looked at the tree in front of him. In the tree, Nagato turned his head and stared in a direction. At this time, if the tree was removed, it would be found that Nagato was looking in the direction where Naruto was standing. After Nagato looked at Naruto first, Naruto looked up at the leaves. The 2 of them stared at each other with a layer of trees between them. In fact, because of Chakra's shield, the 2 didn't see each other, but there was a feeling in the dark. It made them feel that there was a dangerous presence in this direction. "I've been discovered." Naruto's face showed a smile. With a flip of his hand, Kusanagi appeared in his hand. Although he wanted to use the blue sleeve sword, he also admitted that Kusanagi was much better than the blue sleeve sword. In the battle in front of him, if he could be stronger, he wouldn't be weaker. At the same time, 5 flying swords flew out. Inhale in the tree, Konan looked at Nagato strangely. "What's wrong?" At this time, Nagato only revealed his upper body. His lower body was connected to a huge spider-like machine with 6 legs supporting it. If Naruto saw it, he would definitely think that he saw the Scorpion King in the movies. The Scorpion King only lacked a tail. Konan looked at Nagato in confusion. Nagato was very thin, so thin that he was out of shape. His whole body looked like a skeleton covered with a layer of human skin. Every time she saw Nagato like this, Konan's heart ached. His gaze was no longer as cold as it used to be towards outsiders. Instead, it had a trace of gentleness and warmth. She wanted to ask more, but the next moment, Nagato's 6 legs suddenly moved, leaving the place and blocking in front of Conan. At the same time, a red sword slashed the giant tree, and a man holding a sword appeared in front of Nagato. Sword slash. Naruto was extremely fast, and Nagato raised his right hand. Shinra Tensei. Naruto's figure suddenly stopped, but even faster, Naruto's left hand stretched out and turned into a scarlet claw that pierced deep into the ground. Naruto wasn't sent flying. On the contrary, Nagato's body began to slide back uncontrollably. The 5 flying swords behind Naruto were also affected. At the moment when Nagato used Shinra Tensei, they were bounced far away. The 2 of them were in a deadlock. Naruto's left hand turned into a huge beast claw that became even thicker, pulling his body forward. Xiaonan had already recovered from her shock. However, the battle between the 2 was not something she could participate in. The huge force field created by Shinra Tensei made it impossible for her to step in front of Nagato. She could only help Nagato stabilize his body, but in fact her strength was dispensable. "You're not as strong as I thought." Naruto stared at Nagato, and the smile on his face was a little crazy. Naruto didn't know if he met his match and fell into a battle frenzy, or he was affected by the negative emotions in Nine Tails' chakra. In Naruto's body, the seal on Nine Tails had been lifted. The door opened. The fierce chakra poured into Naruto's body. Naruto rushed forward. Under Shinra Tensei's field, Nagato finally couldn't support himself, and was sent flying by the reaction force. It was as if a cannonball had shot a hole in the trunk. Even Xiaonan was sent flying. Naruto pulled out his right hand that pierced into the ground. His right hand returned to normal. Summoned the flying swords. The runes on the 5 flying swords lit up. Then they appeared beside Naruto again. Chakra was connected to the flying swords. Naruto's body slightly crouched. Power burst. Swift escape. Naruto's figure seemed to turn into a cloud of smoke. He disappeared in a flash. The cloud of smoke seemed lazy, but his speed was surprisingly fast. He caught up with Nagato. The flying sword slashed out. The 5 flying swords formed a sword array, and the power of the slow barrier was at its maximum. Kill. The 5 flying swords stabbed forward. Nagato was still flying in the sky with Xiaonan hanging on his body. Shinra Tensei. Just like before, it was one way. Because Xiaonan was behind Nagato. Naruto had expected it, and the 5 flying swords attacked Nagato in a circle. 2 swords were sent flying, but Naruto was faster than Nagato. Flying Thunder God Jutsu. Naruto appeared behind Nagato. Kusanagi sword in his hand, sword slashed. Xiaonan's eyes widened. Looking at Naruto's incomparably cold sword, he was shocked. Under the slow barrier, Xiaonan's body shouldn't be able to react. Logically speaking, Nagato would die with this sword. However, something contrary to common sense happened. Xiaonan switched positions with a black tube behind Nagato with substitution jutsu. The sword was moving forward, and Nagato was looking back. He noticed. Naruto's sword had cut into Xiaonan's right arm. Shinra Tensei. Indiscriminate attack. For a time, Shinra Tensei was no longer in one direction, but spread out in a circle. Xiaonan and Naruto were both pushed out. Because there was nothing to use in the air, Naruto also flew out this time. It was the right choice. Xiaonan's right arm was broken, but her life was saved. The sword's trajectory and Naruto were both bounced out. Nagato began to form hand seals. Summoning jutsu. Nagato's hand pressed on the 6-legged instrument below him. Boom. 6 paths of pain appeared beside Nagato. Shinra Tensei was lifted, and Nagato's body fell down. 6 paths pain and the other 3 were holding Nagato, while Tendo Pain and Yahiko saw Conan and rushed towards her. Shirato stared at Naruto. Summoning jutsu. A strange bird with Rinnegan flew out and chased after Naruto. The 4 of them carried Nagato down. Pain, who was guarding Nagato, stared at Naruto, and Nagato stared at Naruto. What are you looking at? Naruto sat on Nagato's mechanical leg. The invisibility was lifted. Pain and Nagato were both shocked. They attacked at the same time. Boom. Naruto disappeared. Was it just a clone? Nagato frowned. If it was just a clone approaching him just to say hello? Why didn't he attack? Was he mocking him? While he was wondering, Naruto appeared in the distance. He greeted again. I'm here. Shirato's mechanical arm stretched out, and several rockets were shot at Naruto. However, after one was shot, another Naruto would appear. In the end, they found that they were surrounded by Naruto's clones. Naruto's main body was hidden in a big tree that no one noticed. Hand seal. Flying Thunder God Jutsu. Naruto's main body didn't disappear, but one of Naruto's clones disappeared. It was the mechanical leg that Naruto's clone was sitting on. Naruto's Flying Thunder God Jutsu was left under the mechanical leg. Life, the same Flying Thunder God Jutsu was on the other 6 arms. The biggest reason why Naruto didn't launch an attack just now was that he wanted to approach silently, to hide his presence. If Naruto had the idea of killing Nagato at that time, Nagato would have noticed it with his keen senses. Explode! Naruto made a hand seal with one hand. Naruto, who was teleported by the Flying Thunder God Jutsu, grinned. There was a roar. Naruto was a little excited. His explosive troop flow hadn't been used for a while. Of course, this time, it wasn't a weak explosive tag. It was a clay bomb simulated by Naruto. C3 Naruto 1. After Preserved Egg woke up, Naruto's control over chakra strengthened again. In addition, after Sharingan appeared on the soul body, Naruto's soul body also benefited. Copying Deidara's ninjutsu also became a piece of cake. Chapter 549. As long as he kills Nagato, things will be easy in the future. The Akatsuki will fall into the hands of Obito. The only thing he needs to pay attention to is Zetsu. Naruto looked at the center of the explosion. The explosion stopped, and the smoke and dust dispersed. The 6 mechanical legs under Nagato's body were all broken. He fell to the ground, holding the black metal rod that penetrated his body. It was originally the black rod inserted in his back, but his body was impacted by the explosion, and his back hit an object, so the black rod penetrated his body. This is thanks to Nagato's Shinra Tensei CD, otherwise he shouldn't have suffered this kind of injury. Plop! Tendo Pain-Yahiko next to Konan fell. Naruto's eyelids twitched. Could it be? Nagato was killed by him like this? Naruto looked at the other Pain. Plop! Another one fell. It was Chikusho Pain who summoned the ninja beast. However, the animal path Pain struggled to stand up after falling down. Nagato pushed back the metal rod that penetrated his body. A mouthful of blood spurted out. It seems that Nagato won't die so easily. Nagato raised his head and looked in the direction of Naruto. He noticed it. Nagato raised his hands, and a black ball appeared in his hands. This is Chibaku Tensei. Is he going to use a killing move? At the same time, the other Pain sent chakra to Nagato together. Escape. Naruto's body dived down. But he reached the end. The giant tree was cut off. When? Got you. A third mechanical arm stretched out from Shirato Pain's body like a sickle. At the moment when Naruto went down to the bottom, the upper trunk was also cut off. Good calculation. Nagato really can't be underestimated. Shirato Pain's mechanical arm crushed the trunk where Naruto was and caught Naruto. If it was the previous Naruto, he wouldn't be able to do anything. But now, Naruto raised the corner of his mouth. You want to compete with me in strength? Boom. 5th gear monster strength. Nine Tails chakra exploded. Naruto's body broke free from Azura Dao Pain's huge mechanical arm. Steel escape. Metal control. Nine Tails chakra rushed into Shura Pain's body and pressed Nagato's chakra back into the metal rod. Pop. Pooh. One by one, the black metal rods were ejected from Shurada's body. Without chakra's support, Shurada's body went limp and collapsed. A gravitational force came. Naruto formed a seal with his hands. Nagato stared at Naruto and shouted, "Too late!" Trees were uprooted one by one under the force of gravity, and the rocks on the ground where Naruto was standing rose straight into the sky. Flying Thunder God Art. He actually didn't succeed. The pile of rocks nailed Naruto to the huge stone ball. Naruto was sealed in Chibaku Tensei. When everything was over, Nagato exhaled. It's over. Then he turned to look at Konan. Konan's body was pressed under Tendo Pain-Yahiko's body, offsetting the effect of Chibaku Tensei. Konan was fine, and Nagato breathed a sigh of relief again. Jigakudo Pain formed a seal with his hands, summoning Jutsu. He summoned a big monster with only one head. The other Pain threw Shura Dao Pain's body and parts into the monster's mouth. Jigakudo Pain formed a seal with his hands, reincarnation rebirth. Soon, when the big mouth monster opened its mouth again, a whole Shura Dao Pain crawled out of its mouth. Konan also came to Nagato's side at this time to check Nagato's wound. Nagato's face was stiff. "I'm fine." The other Pain threw Nagato's broken mechanical leg into the monster's mouth. Then they carried Nagato and put Nagato into the monster's mouth. Reincarnation rebirth. When the monster opened its mouth, Nagato's broken mechanical leg was repaired. However, it could be seen that the physical wound didn't get better. "Let's go, we can go back. This time the harvest is not small." We directly caught Ninetail's human pillar force. Hearing that it was Ninetail's human pillar force, Konan was shocked. Recalling the battle just now, no wonder the crimson-red chella full of ominous tyrannical aura was so frightening. It turned out to be Ninetail's. The huge stone ball slowly fell. Everyone stared at the stone ball, but they didn't notice that Naruto was standing not far from Nagato with a playful look on his face. Nagato seemed to feel something and looked over, but Naruto had disappeared. At the moment of doubt, Naruto appeared behind Nagato. His hand pressed on the thickest black stick. Ninetail's chakra rushed into Nagato's body. All the black sticks appeared at the same time connected to Naruto's chakra line. Nagato was shocked. All the Pain looked at Naruto and prepared to attack. Naruto slightly raised the corner of his mouth and pulled. Ding-ling! 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 Ding-ling-ling! The black stick fell to the ground and fell on the rock, making a crisp sound like metal. At the same time, Six Paths Pain's body was like a puppet with cut strings, falling to the ground one after another. Unexpected? 7 against 1 is too much of a bully, so I thought of this method. It seems to work well. Nagato stared at Naruto. Impossible. That's definitely not a clone. You can't. Naruto was still smiling. 5 flying swords flew over, and the slow barrier was activated. Konan's whole body was nailed in place. But Nagato seemed unaffected. Is it because of the Rinnegan? Nothing is impossible. I was just trying a new ninjutsu. 3 flying swords were on Konan's neck. Naruto stared at Nagato. Admit defeat, if you don't want to lose a second partner. Nagato's eyes didn't move and continued to stare at Naruto. What ninjutsu did you just use? Naruto sneered. I don't seem to have the obligation to explain it to you. The flying swords tightened, and a wound was cut on Konan's neck. Blood flowed out of the wound, and it was a shocking sight. Nagato suddenly raised his hand, but not to stop Naruto. A suction came from Nagato's hand. Naruto's body was directly sucked into Nagato's hand. Tendo Pain's ability, Bansho Heavenly Seal. Then it was Gekido's seal. Naruto's chakra was sucked out of Nagato's body. Not only that, Nagato actually activated Pain's ability at the same time, Soul Devour. Naruto's soul was uncontrollably sucked out of his body. Nagato roared. A god can't be defeated. Naruto's soul looked at Nagato with a smile. You pulled me out. It's really a last resort. Naruto's soul's hand and fingers swept across Nagato's body like a blade. Spirit Transformation Jutsu. Soul Cut. Nagato's soul was severely injured. His mind was distracted, and the ninjutsu was interrupted. An ordinary person's soul should have collapsed and died at this time, but Nagato held on. A god can't be defeated. Naruto's soul returned to its position, and 2 flying swords pierced Nagato's heart under Naruto's control. The other was bounced away by the repulsive force before it could fly over. Shinra Tensei was indiscriminately centered on Nagato. Konan's head flew off, pushed by the repulsive force of Shinra Tensei. Her head was directly cut off by the flying sword. Nagato stared blankly at Konan's headless body that was thrown away. Shinra Tensei was lifted. Naruto disappeared in front of Nagato. Flying Thunder God Jutsu. Nagato didn't react. In the next moment, Naruto appeared behind Nagato and slashed out with his sword. Nagato's head was also cut off. It's over. Nagato stared at Naruto with his eyes wide open. The smile on Naruto's face disappeared. I just used Izanagi so your earth ball didn't seal me. A pair of brown wings spread out behind Naruto's back. There was a wooden texture on the wings. A dragon eagle withdrew from behind Naruto. The Sharingan on the dragon eagle's right eye was closed. Next. Orochimaru. Chapter 550. Bring the bodies of Nagato and Konan back to the Rain Country. Naruto dug out the Rinnegan on Nagato's left eye and gave Nagato to Haiden. Remember, Nagato's right eye must not be wrong. Haiden was still shocked that Nagato was killed by Naruto. He was stunned for a moment and quickly replied, yes. When you return to the Rain Country, you will say that you desperately snatched back the bodies of Nagato and Konan. When you arrived, the enemy was seriously injured and ran away when he saw you. At the same time, the other Rinnegan was also dug out by the enemy. Haiden nodded again and again to show that he understood. However, Naruto hesitated again. The Rinnegan was naturally to be given to Obito. In this way, the Akatsuki can continue to carry out the task of catching the Bijou. But if the Rinnegan is given to Obito, will it affect the effect of the previous Kotoame Tsukumi? Naruto looked at Haiden, and an idea came up in his mind. Try it and you will know. Lie down. Although Haiden was puzzled, he still obeyed Naruto's order. I'll change your eyes. 5 minutes later, the Rinnegan was installed on Haiden's body. Naruto stared at Haiden. Under the medical perception enchantment, Haiden's every nerve reaction could not escape Naruto's sight. How do you feel? Haiden blinked. Feel okay? The vision has become clearer. And, Naruto asked and Haiden answered. There was no sign of lying, and he was still obedient. It's just that Haiden didn't seem to have learned to use the Rinnegan's ability. Naruto had no experience in this and couldn't give Haiden too much advice. Try to inject chakra into it. Okay, now you take the bodies of Nagato and Konan back. As for the Rinnegan, you play with it first. When you go back, someone will ask for it. Haiden was shocked. He looked at Naruto hesitantly. Then should I give it to him or not? Naruto replied casually. It's up to you. If you don't hand it over, the other party will probably use force to take it. If you can beat them, it's fine if you can keep your eyes. After everything was done, Naruto watched Fei Duan leave. He turned around and yelled. Alright, let's go home too. Hinata, Big Gunny, Little Gunny, and Tobirama appeared one by one in front of Naruto. Hinata lowered her head with an unhappy look on her face. The other girls were also not very happy. Tobirama was fine, his face was calm. What's wrong? Why are all of you pulling long faces? Hinata. Little Gunny? Who bullied you? Hinata tugged at the corner of her clothes and continued to play by herself without saying a word. Naruto could tell that the girl was angry. Little Gunny was also angry, but he was playing with Big Gunny's clothes. I won the battle. This is something worth celebrating. Hinata muttered. It has nothing to do with me. Little Gunny nodded with puffed cheeks. Naruto knew that these girls were angry because he didn't let them fight. When Naruto and Nagato were fighting, these girls asked for help many times, but Naruto didn't call them over. He only let them stay outside the battlefield, 2 kilometers away. The reason I didn't let you fight is because I still have some tricks up my sleeve. Really, if I'm not your opponent and need help, I will definitely let you know. The girls' expressions eased a lot. Little Gunny secretly looked at Hinata, and seeing that Hinata didn't forgive Naruto, he continued to puff his cheeks and pretended to be angry. How about this? The next time there's a battle, I won't restrict you and let you fight freely, how about it? Hinata suddenly raised her head. Really? Naruto looked serious and nodded very sincerely. It's true, but you can't screw up when the time comes. At this time, Hinata's face finally thawed, and she regained her usual expression. On the 3rd day after Nagato and Konan's death, their bodies were brought back to the Rain Country by Haiden. Learning of Nagato's death, Obito revealed his identity and took over the Akatsuki. Haiden's Rinnegan was taken back by Obito. At the same time, the Akatsuki began to capture the Bijou. However, unlike the original world, the Akatsuki didn't capture the Ichibi directly as the Akatsuki. Deidara received the order to capture the Ichibi as Iwagakure's ninja. They fled to Iwagakure. Midway, Obito brought the two back with Kamui. At this time, Iwagakure and Sannin started a dispute, breaking the stalemate between the two sides. Sannin and Kimogakure joined forces to attack Iwagakure. A world war was about to break out. In the second year, the Air Regiment, defeated in the Second Shinobi World War, suddenly attacked Woodleaf. Woodleaf was pulled into the battlefield. In the same year, Kakashi, who disappeared, returned to Woodleaf and assumed the position of the 6th Naruto again. In the third year, Iwagakure's human pillar force and Gobi disappeared. Kimogakure defeated Iwagakure in one fell swoop. After 4 world wars, Iwagakure became the first great shinobi village to be destroyed. Kimogakure occupied Iwagakure, and the Earth Country was subsequently defeated and renamed the Lightning Country. After Iwagakure was defeated, Sannin refused to continue to join forces with Kimogakure, and once again formed an alliance with Woodleaf to fight against the rapidly expanding Kimogakure. For a time, the battle fell into a stalemate again. The two countries began to have ideas about the Water Country. They tried to get the Water Country to join. Snow Country, Snowy Mountain Research Institute. Snowy Mountain Virtual Conference. Tobirama said with a serious face, "We can't let either side form an alliance with the mist." The others didn't speak, and they all looked at Naruto. In 3 years, Tobirama didn't change, but Naruto changed a lot. He became more mature. His originally somewhat round and tender face had also become angular and distinct. "Why not?" Naruto asked. Tobirama replied, "No matter which side forms an alliance with the mist, the current stalemate will be broken again. At that time, the day of world unification won't be far." Naruto smiled. "Wouldn't it be great if the world is unified? Isn't this what you want to see?" Tobirama stared at Naruto. "I don't think they have the ability to manage the world, so it must be us who unifies the world." Naruto waved his hand. "Calm down, don't worry. No matter who gets the Water Country as an ally, the battle won't end in a day or 2. Tobirama urged. "The battle between ninjas is very fast. Once the allies are determined, the battle will end in less than a week." Naruto could see that Tobirama couldn't wait anymore. "If we want to unify the world, the Rain Country must participate first. So in any case, what we have to do now is wait. Of course, we won't wait in vain. The daimyo of the Earth Country ate a lot of rice in the Snow Country, right? It's time for him to come out. By the way, is there any news about Orochimaru?" Naruto looked at Hirako at the end of the seat. Hirako quickly replied, "No, I asked the underground trading house to keep an eye on him, but there is no news." Naruto pondered. Last year, the 3-year period of Orochimaru's living corpse reincarnation ended. This guy wants to give me a big surprise as soon as he comes out. Chapter 551. Land of Fire, Woodleaf Ninja Village. Sannin 5th Kazekage Hanbao and 6th Naruto Kakashi were having a meeting. 3 years had left an indelible mark on everyone's body. Hanbao became more mature and sexy, and Kakashi became more listless. "My love has been missing for 3 years." As soon as she opened her mouth, she went straight to the point. Kakashi crossed his arms and leaned on his head, weakly saying, Behind Kakashi, Metke raised his eyebrows. For a hot-blooded person like him, it was very embarrassing for Naruto to be so listless. He tried to give Kakashi a wink or gesture, trying to encourage Kakashi to cheer him up. But Kakashi didn't care about him at all. He was completely ignored. Hanbao's face wasn't very good. On the one hand, my love was her brother, and she couldn't be happy when her brother went missing. On the other hand, Kakashi's attitude made her feel like she was being underestimated. Naruto-sama, please don't forget that the reason why Sannin chose Woodleaf as an ally was to find my love. If you can't find my love, you have to find Shikaku. Kakashi raised his head and looked at Hanbao, but his face was still listless. My love was kidnapped by Iwagakure ninja, which provoked a war between Sannin and Iwagakure. Later, Kimogakure, who also kidnapped Human Pillar Force, took the opportunity to join forces with Sannin. The sudden disappearance of Iwagakure's 2 human pillar force gave Kimogakure the opportunity to directly destroy Iwagakure. After that, Sanin asked Kimogakure for my love, but Kimogakure refused, so Sanin and Kimogakure broke off. It can be said that if it weren't for my love, Sanin wouldn't have become allies with Woodleaf. Of course, Konoha remembers this condition. Woodleaf never stopped looking for my love. You have to believe in Woodleaf's sincerity. But this time Kimogakure did it really. Perfect. Perfect, yes perfect, no one could find any clues. My love seemed to have directly disappeared from the world. Hanbao frowned, and her face was a little impatient. Woodleaf's efficiency disappointed, but there was no other choice. This situation made her very depressed. Kakashi took a breath and sat up straight. According to my guess, my love can't be found now. In 3 years, if my love fell into the hands of Kimogakure. Kakashi looked at Hanbao's face. Hanbao's face was very ugly, but Kakashi continued. Now the bijou should have been extracted and a new human pillar force should be created. If this is the case, the next time Kimogakure attacks, we will face a disaster. What we have to do now, compared to finding my love and Shikaku, is how to face that situation. Also, Iwagakure's Yambi and Gobi are also missing. Kakashi didn't speak again. Hanbao understood Kakashi's meaning. If Yambi and Gobi also fall into the hands of Kimogakure, then Kimogakure will completely absorb this force and transform it into their own force. Kimogakure's strength will reach unprecedented strength. The solution is to not wait for Kimogakure to master this force and defeat Kimogakure in one fell swoop. Hanbao thought for a while and said, Yambi and Gobi are not necessarily in the hands of Kimogakure. You know, the reason why Kimogakure was able to destroy Iwagakure was because Yambi and Gobi were missing. Kakashi's fingers stopped tapping on the table and began to draw circles. He asked, then, who do you think has Yambi human pillar force and Gobi human pillar force? The two were silent for a while. Hanbao probed, Woodleaf. Kakashi shook his head. I can swear in the name of Naruto that these 2 human pillar force have nothing to do with Woodleaf. Let's put this matter aside for now. What's important now is to prevent other human pillar force from appearing in Kimogakure. Woodleaf's decision is to pull Takigakure to our side. The Nanabai human pillar force in Takigakure is not young anymore. He should be able to stand alone. Hanbao's brows relaxed a little. But Takigakure declared neutrality. Kakashi replied, it's up to us. The meeting ended. Kakashi returned to his office. Jiraiya sat in Naruto's seat. Kakashi asked, is the mission going well? Did you find the whereabouts of the Sanbai? Jiraiya didn't answer directly but praised. Good, you know to use the Nanabai human pillar force as a cover. Using the Nanabai human pillar force as a cover, when Sanin's people focus on Takigakure, Kimogakure's people will also focus on Takigakure. At this time, Woodleaf will take down the Sanbai and create their own human pillar force. If it goes well, the whole plan can be said to be excellent. Kakashi replied. Not all. If we can pull Takigakure over, it will be good. Then he asked again, is there any news about the Sanbai? Jiraiya nodded. Kakashi's face was a little more complicated. Sanbai Rin. If he can avoid it, he really doesn't want to have anything to do with the Sanbai. What about the Yambi and Gobi? Is it done by the Akatsuki? Jiraiya shook his head. The Akatsuki hasn't done anything in recent years. I can't be sure about their intelligence. At the same time, in a brightly lit stone room, a beautiful girl used the Edo reincarnation to summon 2 people. If Kakashi or Hanbao were here, they would recognize the 2 people summoned as the Yambi human pillar force and the Gobi human pillar force. Iwagakure's Rashi and Han. The beautiful girl asked a few questions, and after hearing the answer, her eyes narrowed. Sure enough, as I guessed, the Yambi and Gobi have been taken away by the Akatsuki. The beautiful girl turned to look at the third person who failed to summon. The person who was sacrificed was still alive, and she didn't summon the person she wanted to summon. My love is not dead. Why is he not dead? Where is my love now? At the same time, the Great Snow Mountain Research Institute. Naruto held the Mercenary Academy's transcript in his hand. In 3 years, the Mercenary Academy has changed a lot. The first is that Sasuke has graduated from the Mercenary Academy. He served as the captain of the first division. The vice-captain didn't change. Chojuro, Chito Snow Wolf. 150 armed knights. The captain of the second division, Hinata, graduated in the same year. Vice-captain. 2 Yujito, Sakura Haruno and Yakito. Not only are the captain and vice-captain girls, but the 150 armed knights are also girls, so they are jokingly called the female army. Naruto had the assessment list in his hand. Candidates for the third division. My love, Yugao Fuku. Yes, the three are the human pillar force of the Ichibi, Rokubi, and Nanabai. While Naruto was looking at the list, Obito dialed Naruto's number. Naruto, the cracks on the Geto Mazo are because the Yonbi and Gobi are sealed on the right side, breaking the balance of the Geto Mazo. Naruto replied, What do you mean? Obito replied, Simply put, we need to seal 2 bijou on the other side as soon as possible. The number of tails added up to 9. Ichibi, Hachibi, Nibi, Nanabai, or Sambai and Rokubi. Naruto whispered, Can't you delay it? Obito replied, You wait, I will ask Mito. Ask if the technology to separate the human pillar force from the bijou has been developed. According to the convention, the human pillar force will die if the bijou is removed. Naruto didn't want some people to die, so this matter has been delayed for 3 years. Chapter 552. After hanging up the call with Obito, Naruto went to Uzumaki Mito. Have you developed the technology to separate the tailed beast from the human pillar force? Uzumaki Mito still looks like a little girl, and 3 years have not left a trace on her body. The Edo Tensei's body has changed several times, but there is no change. Uzumaki Mito's small face looked bitter. She did not even raise her head, and continued to look at the calculations on the drawing. No, it is useless to remove the seal. When the tailed beast resides in the human pillar force's body, there should be a very close connection between the tailed beast and the human pillar force's soul. This connection allows the tailed beast to leave the human pillar force's body. It will also pull away part of the human pillar force's soul. So the human pillar force must die. No way? Naruto nodded. I see. I can only try the method I said. Uzumaki Mito was startled when she heard Naruto's words and raised her head. You said you want to use Corpse Demon Seal? Although the Shinigami can divide the 9 tails into 2. But, the condition of using Corpse Demon Seal is to sacrifice the caster's life. Have you thought of a solution? Or are you going to use Genjutsu to control others? Naruto shook his head. No, there are other ways. I will do it. I will tell you when I have the result. With that, Naruto left directly with the Flying Thunder God Jutsu. Uzumaki Mito looked at the place where Naruto disappeared and said to herself, He shouldn't use Corpse Demon Seal directly, right? Well, he shouldn't, he is not stupid. Then the little girl continued to bury her head in the formula. In Naruto's room, Naruto found a scroll that he had sealed for a long time. The scroll unfolded, the seal was lifted, and a mask appeared in Naruto's hand. It was the Shinigami mask obtained from the Uzumaki clan's facial hall. Preserved egg, it is time to test your appetite. As he spoke, Naruto put on the Grim Reaper's mask. If he could, Naruto didn't want to wear this thing anyway. Every time he saw this thing, Naruto felt a chill run down his spine. Naruto put on his mask. There was no wind in the room, but Naruto's hair was blown back. There was something behind him. Moreover, it was very dangerous. Naruto's sixth sense was very strong. The moment he put on the mask, he felt a chill run down his spine. His scalp went numb. Naruto turned his head, and a monster that looked exactly like the mask Naruto was wearing looked down at him. The monster had purple skin, a sharp chin, no eyebrows, and 2 horns on its head. Naruto looked at the monster, and the monster looked back at Naruto. His heart turned cold. Preserved egg, is this thing edible? Preserved egg asked. This is the Grim Reaper? Why do I feel so gloomy? It made Preserved egg feel gloomy. Would the plan succeed? Naruto muttered in his heart. Will it succeed? If not, let's not provoke it. Preserved egg replied. Let me try taking a bite. Take a bite? Naruto instructed. Let's see if you can eat its knife first. It was that knife that split the nine tails in half. Preserved Egg listened to Naruto's instruction and bit down. A row of neat teeth marks were left on the knife in the Grim Reaper's mouth. The tip of the knife was bitten off. It worked. The monster was stunned for a moment when a piece of the knife was bitten off. Its eyeballs moved and landed on the knife in its mouth. The famous person urged, "Hurry up and eat." The second bite was bigger. The blade of the knife was bitten off, leaving only the handle. Creak, 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 gulp. The Grim Reaper's eyeballs looked at Naruto. Preserved Egg took another bite. This time the hilt was gone too. Can it still be eaten? If it can't be eaten, I will take off the mask and send it away. Preserved Egg replied. What a strange rule. It can still be eaten. Do you want to eat all of this? Naruto answered decisively. Eat. Preserved Egg opened its mouth again and bit the prayer beads on the monster's hand. Ding. A crack appeared on the Grim Reaper's mask. Preserved Egg didn't give up after swallowing the prayer beads. It opened its mouth, and the monster disappeared in front of Naruto. Naruto quickly asked, "What happened? Did it eat or run away?" At the same time, the Grim Reaper's mask was suddenly filled with cracks. The entire mask broke into pieces. The mask was broken. Preserved Egg replied. Half of its body was bitten off. Creak, creak. Preserved Egg continued chewing. Gulp. After Preserved Egg swallowed it, his body overflowed with golden soul power. I'm so full. This guy looks ugly, but I didn't expect it to be so nutritious. No wonder people say that the uglier it is, the more delicious it is. Naruto blushed with shame when he heard this. The uglier, the more delicious it was. This was just a fruit. It had nothing to do with this thing. Naruto was about to ask about other things, such as whether he had obtained the ability of that guy. At this moment, a wooden stick suddenly appeared in the right hand of Naruto's soul. When Naruto raised his hand, the wooden stick in Naruto's hand was constantly being refined. Naruto recognized that this wasn't a wooden stick, but a sword handle. After the sword handle grew out, it was followed by the sword frame and the blade. The blade continued to extend until the tip of the sword appeared. Was this the sword that the monster was holding in its mouth? The only difference was that this sword was longer than the previous one. It didn't look like a short sword, but a long tachi. The color was also golden. When Naruto looked at the sword in his right hand, a string of prayer beads appeared on Naruto's left wrist. A very long string of prayer beads wrapped around Naruto's hand a few times. The prayer beads appeared too. Naruto hurriedly touched the top of his head. Could it be that a pair of horns grew out? Fortunately, this didn't happen. The head and appearance of the famous person didn't change much. Did you succeed? Naruto looked at Preserved Egg. Preserved Egg shrugged. Isn't it just eating? It's not difficult to solve anything with eating. Naruto was speechless. Should he look for something to try now? Who should he look for? The two of them? My love. Yugao? Fu. Or Naruto looked at Nine Tails. Nine Tails' evil aura hadn't dissipated. When he saw Naruto looking at him, he stared back. However, his aura wasn't enough. His gaze was fixed on the sword in Naruto's hand. Nine Tails with the Een attribute remembered that he was cut in half. What are you trying to do? I've already cooperated with you. Nine Tails stared at Naruto. Click. The round door lock on the 8 trigram seal opened a little. Then the sound of click 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 was heard. Nine Tails was anxious. Are you stupid? If you want to test your sword, use someone else. Isn't Matatabi here too? Even if Matatabi Human Pillar Force has an affair with you, if you can't do it, there's still Shikaku. Nine Tails was scared. He wasn't fierce anymore. For a moment he was terrified. The door opened with a clang. Naruto looked at Nine Tails. This time, Naruto saw something that he couldn't see before. It was a line that seemed to be there and not there. It connected him and Nine Tails. And Naruto saw that Nine Tails' body had fused with his soul. At the same time, there was also a part of Nine Tails in his body. He saw it very clearly. Could it be separated with a single slash? At the same time, Naruto also saw the yin and yang parts of Nine Tails' body. They weren't neatly separated from the middle, but mixed together. Even so, Naruto still had an intuition that if he wanted to, he could separate the yin and yang parts. Naruto! Kyuubi yelled. Naruto looked at Ninetales' big head. Ninetales lowered his head and said carefully, "Let's talk nicely." Preserved egg. Coward, it's over. Chapter 553. Naruto didn't know whether that thing was a Shinigami or something else. But that didn't stop Naruto from naming his new sword Shinigami's Edge. Very flashy. As for the prayer beads, Naruto named them the beads of sealing. Obito. What are the requirements of the sealed-tailed beasts? Naruto remembered Obito's request, but Naruto didn't pay much attention to it. Obito quickly replied, 2-tailed beasts are required, and the total number of tails is equal to 9. 1 tail with 8 tails, 2 tails with 7 tails, or 3 tails with 6 tails. Naruto asked, why is that? I remember you said that it's the balance of the seal. What kind of balance is this? Obito replied, the number of tailed beasts represents the number of tailed beasts' chakra. Balance is also a balance of chakra. There is no limit to the order of the seal. Naruto received a video call request from Obito. After the call was connected, a temporary virtual chat room was established. The room was the scene of the Akatsuki meeting. However, Naruto and Obito weren't standing on the fingers of the Geto Mazo this time, but floating in front of the Geto Mazo's head. Obito pointed at the Geto Mazo's head, where the eyes are, and said, look at the Geto Mazo's eyes. Naruto looked at them. The Geto Mazo had a total of 9 eyes. They formed a group of 4 in a square, with one on the right and one on the left. There was a single eye in the middle between the two groups. 2 of the eyes on the right were open, while the others were closed. Needless to say, the open eyes should be used to seal the Yambi and Gobi. Obito saw Naruto looking at the Geto Mazo's eyes and continued to explain. 9 eyes, the one in the middle is the location of the 9 tails, which needs to be sealed. There are no hard and fast rules for the rest. The only thing to save is that the number of chakra on both sides must reach a stable value. Look at these 2 open eyes. These 2 eyes are where the 4-tailed beast and 5-tailed beast are sealed. The number of tailed beasts equals 9. In order to balance this chakra, she must be in the other group, which is this side. Obito pointed to another set of 4 closed eyes of the Geto Mazo and said, to seal 2-tailed beasts here, the number of tails must be equal to 9. The final result of the seal is that there are 18 tails on both sides and 9 in the middle. Form a stable energy structure of September 18th, 18. Obito's explanation was very detailed, and Naruto understood. Interesting. I got it. 1-tailed and 8-tailed, 2-tailed and 7-tailed, 3-tailed and 6-tailed, right? Let's not touch the 8-tailed human pillar force for now. We haven't caught the 3-tailed wild beast yet, so we can only choose the 2-tailed and 7-tailed beast now. Obito urged, it's fine to seal one first. Originally, the demonic statues weren't supposed to be this week, but now we've dragged it on for 3 years. Naruto nodded and said, okay, seal the 2-tailed beast first, and leave the 7-tailed beast to me. I'll give you an answer within 3 days. After ending the video call with Obito, Naruto looked for the 2 Yujito people. Sister Yujito, say goodbye to second last. She's moving. Upon hearing Naruto's words, the 2 Yujito people and second last got a great shock. Moving. The mental connection was established successfully. Naruto's consciousness projection appeared in the space sealed by second last. Second last's cat, Matatabi, stared at Naruto with blue flames all over her body, keeping her guard up. Naruto, what do you mean? Have you found a way to separate the tailed beasts from the human pillar force? There had always been a way to separate the tailed beasts from the human pillar force. Second last meant that it wouldn't affect the human pillar force's life. After 3 years of getting along, Matatabi was well aware that Naruto wouldn't let the 2 Yujito people die. The golden Naruto grinned and said, of course, don't worry. The 2 Yujito people asked, but why are you in such a hurry? I'm still young. If I separate the tailed beasts, my strength will be greatly reduced. Naruto had never told the 2 Yujito people about the Akatsuki. Now he had to explain it to them. Hence, Naruto told them about the existence of the Akatsuki, the tailed beasts, the Ghetto Golem, the 10-tailed beast and Kagaya Otsutsuki. The more Matatabi listened, the more nervous she got. In the end, her fur stood on end. She no longer had a kind expression on her face. Instead, she glared at Naruto menacingly. "Are you going to seal me in the Ghetto Golem?" Naruto nodded. At this moment, there was no longer a need to hide it. In fact, Naruto had never planned to hide it. The reason he didn't say it was because there was no need to. Matatabi took the initiative to pull Nine Tails into the sealed space and yelled at Nine Tails, "Nine Llamas! Do you know about this too?" The projection of Nine Tails' consciousness appeared behind Naruto. The dark red Nine Tails was so red that it was almost black. His body was full of menacing aura, and his aura was even more dangerous than that of Second Last. "So what if I know?" Matatabi asked. "Do you want to be sealed in that thing too?" Nine Tails glanced at Matatabi, after which Matatabi's aura was extinguished. "We're one in the first place. So be it. If there's nothing else, don't call me again. I don't seem to have to report to you what I want to do." After saying that, Nine Tails left without looking back. Yujito people looked at Naruto. When Naruto talked about the 10-tailed beast and Kagaya, she still didn't believe him. However, after seeing the reactions of the two-tailed beasts, she believed him. "Naruto, you want to resurrect the 10-tailed beast?" Naruto nodded again. Yujito people asked, "So does that mean you're a member of the Akatsuki?" "The Akatsuki is the force behind you?" Naruto was stunned. "The force behind me?" The two of them seemed to have misunderstood him. "Well, not really. To be precise, the Akatsuki should be listening to me now. Because their leader listens to me." Naruto answered sincerely. The two of them didn't believe him at all. "That 10-tailed beast. Can you control it?" The two of them didn't know the strength of the 10-tailed beast, but one of them was already so powerful. If 9 of them fused together, it was simply unimaginable. Naruto answered, "Yes." The two of them didn't continue to ask. Matatabi sneered. "You want to control the 10-tailed beast? Why? In this world, the only one who can control the 10-tailed beast is Hagoromo Sannin. I admit that although your strength is already very strong, compared to Hagoromo Sannin, you can't even compare to a finger." Matatabi was not polite at all. Then she continued to scold. "Do you know what you're doing? After the 10-tailed beast awakens, there will be no one in this world who can control the 10-tailed beast. This is equivalent to destruction for this world. I might as well tell you that the 10-tailed beast wants to take back chakra that is scattered around the world. When the time comes, I'm afraid the first thing it will do is to kill everyone." Naruto looked at Matatabi and sneered. "Don't you think this sentence is ridiculous coming from your mouth? You are a part of the 10-tailed beast. It stands to reason that you should want to fuse together more. Because after fusing together, you will be the real individual, the real me. You will be invincible in the world, and humans will die. But does that have anything to do with you?" Matatabi frowned. She looked down at Naruto. Naruto smiled and said, "Your state can only be said. Hagoromo Sannin used dojutsu on you. He changed your thoughts. He gave you humanity and made you care about the form in front of you, the me in front of you." Matatabi frowned and sneered. "What you said doesn't sound like what a human should say. What good will the destruction of humanity do to you?" Naruto waved his hand. "I'm just analyzing something for you. As for me, I have a way to control the 10-tailed beast. Naturally, I won't let the 10-tailed beast destroy humanity. You should know about the Rinnegan, right? The Eye of Hagoromo. I believe this thing is enough to control the 10-tailed beast. After all, this thing is used to control the 10-tailed beast." Chapter 554. You have Rinnegan? Impossible. Only Rakuto has this thing. Matatabi was shocked. If Naruto really has Rinnegan, then he can really control the Jubi. But she doesn't believe that Naruto has Rinnegan. Naruto smiled and said, "The development of the world, the progress of the era, the power should be stronger under the promotion of the progress of civilization. But for ninjas it is the opposite. The older it is, the stronger it is. Why is that? Because the power of ninjas is scattered from the god of this world. The power of ninjas comes from the god. So let the scattered power of the god be reunited. It will be fine. Sharingan comes from Rinnegan. It is the product of bloodline separation and authority separation. If it can be scattered, it can naturally be reunited. Matatabi was shocked. You mean your Sharingan has atavism? Naruto shook his head and said, It's not mine, it's someone else's, forget it. I won't talk too much with you, you just need to know that I have the ability to control the Jubi. Next, I will cut off the connection between you and Yujito ni. Naruto's consciousness faded away. Then Naruto entered the bodies of the two Yujito ni as a spirit. The golden Naruto, wearing a robe, with long golden hair behind him, holding the Shinigami's blade on his shoulder. This appearance would look a bit like a ruffian. But on Naruto's body, under the golden light like a divine light, it looked particularly sacred. Matatabi's pupils shrank and dilated sharply. Naruto's body made her feel danger. The hair all over her body stood up, and the dark blue flame with black lines was almost boiling. Fear. This fear didn't exist even when facing the Rakuto, because the Rakuto has always been kind to them. Naruto, what's the matter with your aura? Matatabi was scared, and the two Yujito ni were also frozen on the spot. The moment Naruto entered her body, it was like a sharp knife stabbed straight into her body. Fear. She didn't dare to move. Is the gap between Naruto and me that big? How does this guy cultivate? Is he still human? Naruto put the sword down from his shoulder. I've asked Nine Tails. Nine Tails said that it doesn't hurt when being cut by the sword, it's just extreme fear. You should be mentally prepared. In fact, it won't hurt you guys. While speaking, Naruto raised the sword again. Under the immense pressure, the two Yujito natives finally opened their mouths. Don't! But the sword had already. Between Nibi and the two Uchihan, Naruto saw a line. Cut it. The sword extended into second last's body, and into the bodies of the two wooden puppets. Their bodies stiffened. The next moment, they all fell to the ground. The connection between the two was severed. The Yujito ni, panting heavily in the cage, second last asked, Are you done? I felt like I was going to die just now. What a terrifying sword. Naruto shrugged helplessly. This thing is indeed just scary. In fact, you're not injured. Naruto's spiritual body left the bodies of the two Yujito ni. The two Yujito ni passed out. Naruto checked the physical condition of the two Yujito ni. They were fine, they had just fainted. Cowards. Naruto muttered, and then put the two Yujito ni into Century Egg's inner world. He then contacted Obito and said, I've already sent second last human pillar force into the space. Go and extract the tailed beasts. After that, put the two Yujito ni back into the space and send them back to me. Last time, after Preserved Egg ate Obito's Kamui space, Obito's space ability was crippled. Naruto then lent Century Egg's space to Obito. Hence, there were two exits in the same space and it would be easy for Naruto to send things to Obito. Next, the Nambai human pillar force. Waterfall Village's Fu. Naruto opened the system's headmaster panel and searched for Fu in the student directory. He clicked on the call button. At the same time, Fu, who was in a daze at home, suddenly sat up. On the student system panel, two big golden words flashed in front of her eyes. Headmaster. The school prompted. Headmaster is requesting a call. Students are afraid of their teachers. And teachers are afraid of their headmaster. Students' fear of their headmaster is superimposed. In this case, it's okay if they don't meet. Maybe they can talk and give each other a nickname. But meeting, it's like a mouse meeting a cat. Should I answer? Why is the headmaster looking for me? Is it related to my grades? Her grades haven't improved for 2 years, but it's not her fault. It's because the others are too abnormal. The Ichibi human pillar force, my love guy Tian, is staring at Points. He's treating Points as his life and dominating the top student gang. And the Rokubi human pillar force Yugao. Tian is staring at the scholarship. The benefits, she's the third in 10,000 years, sigh. Fu missed the days when Sasuke and the other abnormal students were in school. Although she was abused at that time, there were people accompanying her. And they weren't in the same year. My love and Yugao were in the hundreds together. How friendly. She should answer the call. Maybe her exam results are good enough to attract the headmaster's attention? She had to think on the bright side. The call connected. Headmaster, you're looking for me? Naruto. Well, didn't you want to come to the snow country to play? I'll personally pick you up tomorrow. Fu was suddenly overjoyed and happily said, You finally agreed to this? Yu Gao, that showy Tian, shared the beautiful scenery and delicious food of the snow country in her circle of friends. Because of this, she proposed to live on campus many times, but it was never approved, so she suppressed it for more than 2 years. Naruto replied, I agreed, but there's one more thing you need to be mentally prepared for. I need the nanobi in your body. Don't worry, it won't threaten your life. Fu was surprised. Headmaster wants Halcyon? Then in the future, I won't be the human pillar force anymore? Naruto didn't hide it. Well, the nanobi will be taken away. For this loss, you can ask for other conditions, as long as it's not excessive. Fu asked, what about the Rokubi and the Ichibi? Will their headmaster also take them away? Naruto. Well, they'll all be taken away. The hesitation on Fu's face disappeared. Her eyes rolled and she whispered, Then, headmaster will reward me. 10,000 credits? Naruto was surprised. He didn't expect Fu to ask for such a condition. But 10,000 credits is really not cheap. In the school's store, the price of a Sharingan is only 3,000 credits. The first generation cell is also set at 3,000. Naruto asked, What do you want 10,000 credits for? Fu said as if it was a matter of course, With 10,000 credits, I can dominate the top student list. Naruto. Should he say that this dream is small? But Naruto won't do this kind of thing that will affect his physique. Otherwise, the school system will be in chaos. Well, you can exchange your tailed beast for 10,000 credits, so can the other 3, so 10,000 credits per person won't change anything. You should let me see your ranking. Well, I've been in 3rd place for 2 years. Even with 10,000 credits, you're still in 3rd place. Fu. Motherfucker. Chapter 555. In the Akatsuki, Tsunade defected, the elders and Konan died, and the number of members decreased from 10 to 7. Later, Obito joined the Akatsuki with Pain's 0 ring, and the number of members stabilized at 8. At this point, the person standing on the right thumb of the Ghetto Golem's 10 fingers was replaced by Obito. The position of the white middle finger on the right hand and the void little finger on the left hand had been vacant, and a suitable person had yet to be found. In the country of rain, Obito stood in a stone cave and used his Rinnegan to communicate with the Ghetto Golem. He then took out the 2 unconscious Yujito from the space. When everything was ready, Obito jumped up and landed on the position of the thumb of the Ghetto Golem, forming a seal with one hand. Gather. At the same time, the other 7 members of the Akatsuki received the news at the same time. The first person to appear was Kisame. This is second last human pillar force? Kisame looked at the unconscious woman in front of the Ghetto Golem and said in surprise, So second last human pillar force has been in our hands all this time? Obito answered casually, yes. Immediately afterward, more and more people arrived. Like Kisame, they were surprised to see that second last human pillar force had been taken down by the Akatsuki. Obito didn't give them a chance to chat, and he immediately replied, Let's begin. Illusory Dragon 9 Seals. Obito formed a seal with his hands, and used the power of the Rinnegan to communicate with the Ghetto Golem. At the same time he used the Akatsuki's ring to connect all the members. Clack! On the Ghetto Golem, the scroll that sealed its mouth opened, revealing a mouth that seemed to be shouting at the sky. Naruto controlled the little flying squirrel's body and couldn't help but complain when he saw the scene in front of him. That thing! Why does it look more and more like a gag? Preserved Egg and Naruto had the same memory. After hearing Naruto's words, Preserved Egg exclaimed, Huh? I didn't think so before you mentioned it. Now that I look at it, it feels so wretched. Naruto looked down at the giant hand under his feet again. He raised his hand and bent it, and the chain was locked between his hands. Preserved Egg clicked his tongue and said, The The more I look at it, the more it looks like Miss Six Paths of the Six sealed his mother. And he has such a strong taste. Naruto and Preserved Egg looked at each other. Ignoring the two wretched guys and scrupulous imagination. The Geto Mazo's mouth. No, when the seal on the Geto Mazo's mouth was lifted, 9 chakra dragons rushed out of the Geto Mazo's mouth. Sensing the aura, they directly bit the two Ujihan. It was not a physical attack. Chakra dragon's mouth pierced through the two wooden puppets' bodies and bit Second Last. Pain. Naruto. Second Last roared. Soon the other 8 chakra dragons joined in as well. The immense pain made Second Last almost go crazy. The more chakra swallowed, the more ferocious it became. Its mouth opened and closed, tearing and biting. Swallow. Bite again. After a whole day, Chakra finally retracted her dragon. Seal the 7-tailed human pillar force in 1 week. Meeting adjourned. Go and have a good rest. Deidara was not in a hurry to leave. Did you guys hear a voice just now? Deidara asked, and Ghost Shark chimed in. You heard it too? I want to ask about this too. When Second Last was drawn out, she seemed to be shouting Naruto's name. Why is that? On the finger of the Geto Golem, Haiden carefully glanced at the little flying squirrel. It was a very small movement that was almost invisible in the colorful projection. However, Uchiha Itachi also looked at the little flying squirrel. Obito glanced at everyone and said, You guys are quite energetic. Why don't you continue to draw the 7-tailed human pillar force? As soon as Obito said that, the others almost simultaneously deactivated the projection. Only Zetsu was left. The pitcher plant on Zetsu's head was fanning, and the colorful projection hid Zetsu's face, making him look more cute. If I remember correctly, the missing 9-tails human pillar force is called Uzumaki Naruto. Obito jumped down from the finger of the Geto Golem, and took the 2 Yugihin away. Yes, I remember that too. Zetsu looked at the Geto Golem. The Geto Golem opened 3 eyes. Then the dispel technique disappeared. In the Great Snow Mountain Research Institute, Naruto's spiritual body returned to his body. His little face was dark. The hoarse voice of Naruto lingered in his ears like a demon's voice. Naruto shuddered, and goosebumps rose all over his body. This Tian. That's so gay. Naruto walked to the bed and summoned the 2 Yugihin from Preserved Egg's inner space. Naruto checked the physical condition of the 2 Yugihin. There was no danger to their lives, and they were still in deep sleep. Naruto formed a seal with both hands. Release! A seal appeared on the forehead of the 2 Yugihin. The seal disappeared, and the eyelashes of the 2 Yugihin trembled. They suddenly took a deep breath. They woke up. Naruto. I can't feel Mithria. As they spoke, the 2 Yugihin lifted their clothes, revealing their snow-white bellies. There was no seal on them. Did Mithria leave? The 2 Yugihin suddenly felt a little dejected. Naruto raised his hand and patted the shoulders of the 2 Yugihin. Don't think too much. Mithria just returned to its original body. It didn't die. The 2 Yugihin looked at Naruto with a complicated gaze. Have you always hated them? The 2 Yugihin were naturally referring to the tailed beasts. Naruto was stunned. He didn't expect the 2 Yugihin to suddenly ask this question. Could it be that the Nibi Yugihin thought that he hated the 9 tails, so she took revenge on the tailed beasts? Naruto couldn't help but scratch his head. Did he look like a villain? In my memory, when I was very young, the children in the village threw stones at me. They called me Demon Fox. The 2 Yugihin's gazes softened. They are just ignorant children. Naruto nodded. Every time the adults met me, they would point and talk about me. This time the 2 Yugihin stopped talking. Naruto continued. The saddest thing is that my father is the 4th generation Naruto. No one knows this, but they know that I'm Demon Fox. Isn't it funny? However, I don't hate them, nor do I hate the 9 llamas. You may not know, but the 9 tails is actually very easy to get along with. Of course, it's not the one you see. Then Naruto told them about the Yin and Yang 9 tails. He met the Yang attribute 9 tails, and then became the disciple of the Yang attribute 9 tails. Until the Yang attribute 9 tails lost his memory. Then the Yin attribute 9 tails was recalled. The two Yugihin listened carefully, and at the same time, the Nine Tails in Naruto's body was also listening. Nine Tails and Naruto have a soul connection, and it can feel that Naruto is not lying. Is the other me really getting along so well with this little guy in front of me? He didn't believe it, because Naruto has never talked to him properly, let alone become his disciple. He didn't even discuss it. Either he threatened it with the Manjikyu Sharingan, or he threatened it with the katana. It can be said that his attitude is extremely bad. Naruto didn't know what Nine Tails was thinking, and continued to say to the two Yugihin. Nine Tails lost his memory in the starry sky. If I'm strong enough, I can go to the starry sky again, and use this katana to cut off the part that belongs to the Nine Tails. I think the Nine Tails can remember again. The two Yugihin looked at Naruto, and Naruto became more complicated in her eyes. Since Naruto cherishes the Nine Tails so much, he must be able to understand her feelings and Matatabi's feelings. So Naruto took away her Matatabi. It's really heinous. Thinking of this, the two Yugihin hugged Naruto and bit Naruto's shoulder. She pitied this guy just now. This guy is really hateful. Bite him hard. Chapter 556. The seal of the Nibi was completed, and the Nanabi was next. After Naruto was bitten by the two Uchihan, he left the Great Snow Mountain Research Institute and went to the Takigakure to pick up Fu. In the living room of the Great Snow Mountain Research Institute, Tsunade gossiped beside Hinata. Hinata, you're 16 this year, right? In these 3 years, the changes brought to Hinata weren't small. Her height even broke through the original world's limit of 163 centimeters and went straight to 175 centimeters. Naruto speculated that this change should be inseparable from the first-generation cells. Naruto didn't grow in the past 3 years and stayed at 201 centimeters. He was 38 centimeters taller than Hinata. If Hinata wore high heels, the gap would be between 26 centimeters and 30 centimeters. The two stood together. They were a good match. Hinata nodded obediently, yes. Tsunade took Hinata's hand. Then, when are you and Naruto going to get married? Hinata's face was red. It's true that Hinata has matured a lot in 3 years, but when it comes to marriage with Naruto, Hinata was a little overwhelmed. This is not in a hurry, Tsunade stared. Why not? 16 years old is the age to talk about marriage. If you wait any longer, you'll be an old girl. Hinata's face was red. Tsunade continued. That guy has a lot of little girls around him. If you don't hurry up, maybe one day that guy will marry someone else. Also, just when I went downstairs, guess what I saw? Hinata didn't know why she suddenly felt guilty. What did you see? Tsunade whispered in Hinata's ear. I saw Yujito come out of Naruto's room. Hinata blinked. Yujito went to Naruto's room? Tsunade patted the back of Hinata's hand. Naruto is my apprentice. It stands to reason that I should support any girl he chooses. But I also know your feelings for Naruto. You're such a silly girl who only knows how to silently give behind his back. I won't admit it when I saw you sad because of that brat. Well, as long as you know what to do in the future, I'll go see that girl Haruno Sakura. That girl doesn't give me any peace of mind. You only know how to silently contribute behind my back. You don't know how to express yourself. That girl only knows how to pester you. She doesn't have the modesty of a girl. If you can learn from each other, then I'll be relieved. With that said, Tsunade got up and left. He whistled, and a mighty tiger flew up, carrying Tsunade straight into the sky, leaving the Great Snow Mountain Research Institute. Hinata, who had mixed feelings, was left behind. What should I do? Hinata went to a mirror in the living room and looked at herself. She was very particular about her clothes. She wore a warm beige sweater with a high collar to protect her neck. She wore a light gray trench coat when she went out below. While Hinata was thinking about what to do, Naruto had silently arrived at Takigakure. It was Fu who directly summoned Naruto. Hello, Principal. Fu had short light green hair. Her skin was a healthy wheat color. It was slightly dark, but her skin was more delicate than ordinary people. And her facial features were particularly delicate and tall. Not only was she not ugly, but she was also very good-looking. As for her clothes, it was still summer in Takigakure. Therefore, Fu wore a very cool white tube top with a slit miniskirt. Sexy and full of vitality. She gave people a kind of energetic, youthful atmosphere. You can't wear so little in the snow country. It's still winter there. Naruto said casually as an elder. Fu went straight to her wardrobe and took out a few winter clothes to show to the famous person. Those 2 clothes. To be honest, Naruto was a bit disgusted. The style was too old. At least, it was 2 generations away from the snow country's aesthetic. Clothes, there's no hurry. When we get there, I'll ask your senior sister to take you shopping. Hearing the word shopping, Fu's eyes were full of tears. Of course, they weren't tears of sadness, but incomparable longing. Yugao was a flirtatious person. She posted it in her circle of friends every day. She naturally knew that the clothes there were much more beautiful than here. Principal, then should we go now? Naruto, no hurry. Since I'm taking you with me, I still have to explain to Takigakure. Fu was a little surprised. You want to see Wataru? Then he definitely won't let me go. Fu's expression became gloomy. She originally thought that the principal would quietly take her away. Running away from home was exciting. Naruto didn't say much and went straight out of Fu's room. Naruto just came out of Fu's room. Because he didn't hide, he was directly discovered by the ninja on duty. Stop. Who are you? Naruto ignored him and continued to walk forward. Just as the ninja was about to attack, the tree behind him suddenly stretched out and fixed him on the tree as if it was alive. Mokutan. You. Who the hell are you? Mokutan represented too many things. Naruto also ignored him. The same thing happened to the other 3 people. Naruto took Fujimi to Wataraji's location. Those ninjas saw that they couldn't get an answer from Naruto, so they asked Fu. Fu-sama. Who is this? Fu cutely covered her mouth and shook her head. Then Naruto took Fu all the way to Wataru. All the people who wanted to stop them were all imprisoned in place. I want to take this girl with me. Make a condition. Naruto looked at Wataru calmly. Wataru was also full of fear of Naruto's means. Seeing that Fu didn't look like she was forced, he was even more suspicious. Fu has been living in his sight. It's reasonable to say that she shouldn't have any involvement with outsiders. May I ask your name? Naruto smiled politely. I don't have a name, but I have a name, Uzumaki Naruto. When Wataru heard the name, he only felt that it was familiar, but he couldn't remember where he heard it. You said you want to take Fu away, why is that? Naruto directly replied. She is my student. Of course, that's not important. The important thing is, what kind of reward do you want in exchange for letting me take her away? Wataru originally wanted to inquire more, but he didn't expect Naruto to be so direct. For a while he didn't know how to answer. No one in the waterfall village was the opponent of this person, not even him. Wataru looked at Fu, but Fu didn't look at him at all. He also knew that Fu wanted to leave the village and go out for a long time. But as a human pillar force, how could he let Fu go out? I hope you can think about it in 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, I will leave with Fu. Naruto's tone was still humble, but the meaning in his words was overbearing. This made Wataru unable to figure out Naruto's temper for a while. It's really hard to answer. I watched Fu grow up. She is a relative to me just like a sister? How can you separate a relative by force, don't you think so? Naruto waited for Wataru to finish his words, and then still politely said, if you really don't want to leave, then you can leave with Fu. Wataru felt as if his mouth was suddenly stuffed with rice balls. It was very uncomfortable. Chapter 557. Wataru looked embarrassed. You're joking. As always, Naruto used his indifferent attitude to destroy Wataru's inner line of defense. Who's joking with you? You now have 9 minutes to think. The countdown began. Wataru wanted to curse, but looking at the subdued men outside the courtyard, he held back. Sir, I am the leader of a village. How can I abandon my village? Naruto nodded when he heard this sentence. Wataru thought that Naruto finally understood him and agreed with his statement. Naruto suddenly said, Then take everyone in the village away. Wataru. Fuck. If it weren't for the fact that he can't beat Naruto, Wataru really wanted to punch this guy in front of him to death. However, what made him even more speechless was that Fu suddenly clapped her hands and said, "Good. Good. I support you." Wataru. You support my ass. You support me. How did he raise such an ungrateful wolf? For other ninja villages, ordinary villages are somewhat repulsed by the Jinchuriki. But Waterfall Village was originally a small village, and there were only a few people inside and outside the village, so they saw each other all the time. The elders of each family watched each other's children grow up. Therefore, their relationship is not as close as a family, but it's close. It can be said that Fu didn't have a childhood where other human pillar force were excluded. The only thing that didn't go well was that she lived in the village from an early age. Fu continued to urge, "Brother Wataru, quickly agree." Wataru finally couldn't help it and shouted, "Shut up." Fu was stunned. Wataru usually spoiled her, and it was the first time that he scolded her so fiercely. For a moment, she couldn't help but feel a little scared. She shrank her neck. Naruto reported on time. There are 5 seconds left. Wataru felt his vision go dark. He wanted to say something, but he didn't know what to say. Naruto grinned. "Well, since you don't refuse, I'll take it that you agree." Naruto got up and left the room. Wataru. Wamu heard some strange sounds coming from the courtyard, so he stood up and looked outside the courtyard. The villagers and ninjas of Takigakure gathered around. He walked over like a marionette. In the eyes of these people, the mark of the 3 Tomo Sharingan was reflected. Were they all caught in an illusion? When shocked, Shima's face turned ugly. He gritted his teeth and glared at Naruto. "Your Excellency, don't you think it's beneath your dignity to do this?" Naruto asked with a smile. "Identity? Did you know me before I introduced myself? You don't even know who I am, so where did my identity come from? I'm just a nobody." Scoundrel. Shameless. The more people gathered, the deeper Wataru's shock towards Naruto. He knows the name of Sharingan, but can Sharingan control so many people at the same time? What made him even more speechless was that he also saw another Vortex Naruto in the crowd. This person has a biological brother? When Wamu had doubts in his heart, the person around him disappeared with a bang. Fuck. The one who talked to him for a long time turned out to be a clone. Wamu was shocked, and Fu was also shocked because she summoned Naruto. She didn't know when the powerful principal replaced the main body with a clone. "Fu, let's go. Take Wamu and stand in the crowd." Fu came back to her senses and pulled Wamu to Naruto. Wamu refused Fu's pull. However, with only the strength of a Jonin, he was really not the opponent of human pillar force. Naruto opened the system and activated the collective teleportation function. A circle of light spread out with Naruto as the center. After the circle of light enveloped everyone, it rose into a beam of light. Wamu looked around and asked nervously, "What is this?" Without waiting for Fu to answer him, after a flash of white light, the villagers of Takigakure disappeared at the same time. When they reappeared, they were already in the western district of the Snow Country. Wamu's eyes widened. He broke free from Fu's arm and rushed out of the crowd to look around. "Where is this?" Naruto said with a kind face, "Welcome to the Snow Country. This is the residence I arranged for you." "Well, I still have something to do, so I will take Fu first." "You explain things to your villagers clearly." With that said, 2 more clones appeared beside Naruto. The 3 clones surrounded Fuku, and in the next moment, Naruto and Fuku disappeared. Space Ninjutsu, an improved version of the Flying Thunder God formation. The original version required 3 people to hold hands and surround the person in the middle. Naruto replaced the other 2 people with clones, and omitted the step of holding hands. After Naruto left, the villagers' genjutsu was lifted. "Where is this?" An auntie blinked her eyes and looked at the wall in front of her. She looked from bottom to top. "This wall is really high." The aunt's voice was filled with emotion, and other people also looked over. "This looks like a house." It has to be said that the ordinary villagers of Takigakure were much calmer than their village chief. The villagers looked around curiously. The ninjas of Takigakure were staring at their leader. Although he was controlled by the genjutsu, he still remembered what happened before. Wamu's whole body was there, and his face was full of confusion. Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? Explain? How to explain? The whole thing in his view was nonsense, more ridiculous than a dream. But he always felt that he forgot something. Yes, the hero's water. Wamu's heart jumped. That was the top secret of Takigakure passed down by their ancestors. But then again, the human pillar force was taken away. What is the hero's water? Drinking something that will kill you is really nothing in his view. The western district of the country of water was not an empty city. On the contrary, there were many people living there. Most of them were gathered from various parts of the snow country. There were also some business partners who had established a relationship with Naruto. For example, Daxing Technology, which had business with Naruto and contracted the scientific research and development of satellite cameras. After the war started, they all moved over and settled down in the snow country. Hey brother, make way, you're blocking the way. A young man came over with a floating eyeball camera, and his eyes swept the crowd. The young man said to the air, "Babies, wait, I met a group of unknown people." In front of the young man, there was a barrage of comments. Toto. Isn't this the forehead protector of Takigakure? Suddenly, a comment appeared on the screen. Nippon. Yes, anchor, let me see the face of the person in front of me. He looks like the leader of Takigakure. Dragon 5th. Let me see, I've also seen the leader of Takigakure. My family has business with them. The floating eyeball on top of the young man's head turned to Wamu. The barrage exploded. Soul in need of redemption. Really, he's the leader at such a young age? Rice. What a handsome little brother. I want to give birth to monkeys with him. The enthusiastic response of the audience made the young man's eyes light up, and he was not in a hurry to leave. He walked in front of Wamu. Hello, my name is Yugao. Can you interact with me? Wamu was stunned. Chapter 558. Naruto brought food to the real campus of the Mercenary University, using the Flying Thunder God technique. It was a campus built in a 1:1 ratio with the virtual campus. The combat department and non-combat department buildings were built on the east and west sides of the campus. In the middle of the campus was a public field. The most prominent buildings in the middle of the campus were the two obelisks for the top student ranking and the bottom student ranking. At this time, when Naruto and Fuku appeared on the field, the students of the combat department were practicing armed armor. When Fu saw the mechanical armor, she rushed over and hugged the mech without caring about her image. The person inside the mech was dumbfounded. However, the student system quickly revealed Fu's identity. The boy did not dare to move as he was afraid that he would hurt Fu. However, the next moment, Fu lifted the entire mech with one hand. Wow. It's so light. Is this the new series ZR01? The boy inside finally spoke. Senior, don't be like that. Others are watching. Only then did Fu notice that there were many people on the campus and many floating cameras staring at her. The surprise on Fu's face turned into embarrassment. Sorry. I was too excited just now. At this moment, a group of people with wings flew over from the sky. The girl in the lead shouted at Fu, Sister Fu, I'm here to pick you up. Fu raised her head and the eagerness in her eyes intensified. Dragonhawk. Wow. I want one too. That person landed and Fu pounced on him, hugging his wings and rubbing them repeatedly. The girl was embarrassed. Don't touch. Ah. The sense of touch is shared. Oh. Stop. The girl felt that she was going to make a fool of herself. She quickly made a hand seal and dispelled the ghost jellyfish technique. The brown dragonhawk detached from the girl's back. Naruto watched from the side with a smile. In fact, it was not because Fu did not work hard that she was ranked third. It was because she could not complete many practical courses and could not get any credits. After the girl dispelled the ghost jellyfish technique, Fu turned around and ran to someone else. Who knows how to use metal armor under the ghost jellyfish technique? Fu's eyes lit up. However, the boy who was lifted up by Fu suddenly said, Let me demonstrate. Fu turned around and saw the boy dispelling the metal armor. A person walked out of the exoskeleton armor. It was an ordinary-looking boy. Her face was still slightly red. Her facial features were regular, and her skin was lighter than Fu's, which was also the color of wheat. Spirit communication technique. A golden twin-winged tiger appeared beside the boy. Judging from its age, this twin-winged tiger was still a cub and was only 2 meters tall. Next was the ghost germ technique. The boy's body fused with the twin-winged tiger. They fused together to form a centaur, which should be called a centaur tiger. The winged tiger's original wings were still on the tiger's back. When it spread its wings, it looked imposing. Then, the metal suit changed its shape and covered the boy's upper body while the lower body was attached to the tiger's body, protecting the tiger's back. Wow. So cool. I'm going to become a fan of the two-winged tiger. Fu ran over and touched it again. The boy was so excited that he summoned his weapon as well. It was a pike that could rotate. This time he looked even more mighty and extraordinary. How about I take you for a spin in the sky? Fu was a tomboy. If she was a normal girl, she would be more reserved even if she was excited. Fu was different. She stepped forward and rode on it. Then, the two of them flew into the sky. The girls who came to welcome them were left hanging on the spot. Who was that guy carrying Fu's sister? The girl in the lead asked with a dark expression. Everyone else looked at the sky. Everyone had the student system. Even if they didn't know, the system would show them the data, so there was no need to answer. Naruto was also watching from the side. The smile on his face was very benevolent. In fact, he could use the ghost sprite technique without removing the metal suit. The boy did this because he wanted to show off in front of Fu. It's good to be young. Naruto's exclamation finally woke everyone up from their shock. They hurriedly lined up and saluted Naruto. Greetings, headmaster. Naruto smiled. Those who need to train, train. Those who need to rest, rest. Don't mind me. Everyone didn't notice Naruto's matter. It wasn't the students' fault. It was mainly because Naruto changed the school's notification settings. In the past, if Naruto appeared, the school system would broadcast it. But later, Naruto found that although his face was full, he couldn't see the student's true face. It wasn't suitable for a surprise inspection. So, Naruto changed it to a shielding setting. So he inadvertently ate a lot of dog food. School notification. Student Yugao requests a call. Yugao? Naruto picked up the call. Yugao sent a live video link. Headmaster, are these people without ID cards tourists? The video showed the villagers of Takigakure. No, they're new residents of the snow country. Yugao, do you have any classes today? Do you want me to give you an assistance task? Although it was an inquiry, Yugao heard the task prompt before she could answer. Exclusive task. Assist Takigakure's village head to complete the ID card registration. Task reward, 10 credit points. By the way, Yugao, Fu came to the snow country. If you want to keep the second place, you need to work hard. After that, Naruto hung up the phone. Yugao was happy about the points pie that fell from the sky, but when she heard that Fu came, her face turned black. Fu came, the second place will be difficult. Mercenary Academy campus. Fortunately, Fu didn't go crazy and came back after a few laps in the sky. She was a little confused. What should I choose? Dragon Eagle or Twin-Winged Tiger? Hearing Fu's words, the girls who came to greet Fu turned green. They came to Fu to join a club. Dragon Eagle Faction Club. The so-called Dragon Eagle Faction is a club formed by combining the students of Dragon Eagle. Similarly, the Twin-Winged Tiger Faction also has its own club. But although they were unhappy, the girls didn't urge Fu. In the eyes of the students of Mercenary Academy, finding a ninja beast you like is a very important thing. Headmaster, which one should I choose? Fu asked Naruto for help. The girls were nervous. Also nervous was the boy who took Fu to play in the sky. In their view, the headmaster's words are likely to be decisive. Dragon Eagle or Twin-Winged Tiger? Naruto smiled. He had this kind of dilemma too. If you really can't choose and don't know which one to choose, then just raise one of both. Both Dragon Eagle and Winged Tiger cost 1,000 credits. Prepare 2,000 credits for both of them. Silence. Silence. Although that's what he said, no one in Mercenary Academy really did that. That was because he didn't even have enough credits to raise one. The armor needs credits. The armor needs to be upgraded. The armor needs to be equipped with weapons, and so on. There is also the housing problem. The school provides a student dormitory. It is only for use during school. After graduation, even if you don't want to sleep on the street, you have to save money. After that, there is marriage and children. Simply put, in the snow country, credits are money. It is even more important than money. Some things can't be bought with money, but credits can. But Fu's eyes lit up. Good idea. Why didn't I think of it? I decided. I want to raise two. Chapter 559. Woodleaf, Naruto's office. 6 Dame-sama Naruto and Kakashi Hatake were in a daze at this time. Chirp. Chirp chirp. Messenger? Kakashi returned to his senses and looked in the direction of the sound. On the windowsill of Naruto's office, Woodleaf's messenger eagle, which was used to deliver information, was chirping at him. Where did this information come from? To be honest, Kakashi was most afraid of receiving news at this time, because every time it means trouble comes to him. But even if he didn't want to, Kakashi took down the scroll. If it was bad news, then even if he didn't read it, it would have already happened. Besides, maybe it's good news? With a trace of luck, Kakashi opened the scroll. Kakashi's sleepy face suddenly became stiff. His brows immediately furrowed. The more he thought about it, the more his brows furrowed. In the end, his brows were twisted into a knot. Jiraiya suddenly appeared in Naruto's office. He came in through the window. Jumping through Naruto's office window. He was the only one in Woodleaf who could do this kind of thing. What's wrong? Your expression makes me feel like you just pooped your pants. Jiraiya joked. His intention was good. For example, he wanted to ease the atmosphere when he was nervous. Kakashi didn't speak and threw the scroll to Jiraiya. Intelligence scroll. All the ninjas of Takigakure suddenly disappeared. Scene characteristics. No traces of fighting found. Many kitchens didn't cease fire, half of the food was cooked. No traces of a group leaving the village were found. Jiraiya's brows also wrinkled. Kakashi crossed his hands and propped his forehead on the table. He was thinking. Soon, another messenger eagle came. Jiraiya took down the scroll and read it. The news from Sanin is also about the sudden disappearance of the Takigakure villagers. Kakashi closed his eyes. I just hope. This matter has nothing to do with Kimogakure. Jiraiya threw the scroll on the table. Cheer up, it's not a big deal. I didn't expect Takigakure to join us. Well, I'll take the sealing team to the Sambai. Kakashi raised his head, and the worry on his face eased a lot. That's good. In addition, I'll increase the negotiations with the Mist. Try to win them over. Jiraiya's face showed a look of contempt. What's there to think about this kind of thing? 3 years ago, the Kimogakure invaded the Mist and took away one of the 7 swords, Sharingan and Byakugan. They didn't even dare to take revenge, Kakashi replied. Byakugan belongs to Konoha. Kakashi's meaning was simple. The Byakugan belonged to Woodleaf. The Mist's Byakugan represented the hatred between Woodleaf and the Mist. However, Woodleaf didn't pursue the matter, and even took the initiative to form an alliance with the Mist. To put it simply, he was laughing at himself. He was mocking Jiraiya. What's the point of talking about others when he didn't even get his revenge? In front of the general trend, interests are far greater than hatred. No matter how big the enemy is, it's not impossible to let it go. Otherwise, if the Mist and Kimogakure form an alliance, what awaits Woodleaf is an immeasurable loss. Woodleaf may not be able to bear it. It's destruction. Jiraiya stared at Kakashi. Noisy. He jumped out of the window without looking back. Kakashi looked at Jiraiya's departing figure. Jiraiya's long hair fluttered behind him. This made Kakashi think of another guy with long hair. He muttered to himself. If Naruto didn't leave, would Woodleaf be more relaxed now? But then he shook his head. He felt that there was no reason to restrain Naruto. Ninja's path? Family honor? Or to win the respect of others? At the same time, Naruto was also discussing the Sambai with Obito. The Akatsuki obtained information about the Sambai. Naruto asked, "Is the information reliable?" According to the information Obito found, a place called Mountain Wind was attacked by a ninja beast a week ago. More than half of the villagers were killed or injured. According to witnesses, it was a fierce tortoise bigger than a house. Its biggest feature was that it had 3 tails. A tortoise with 3 tails, these 2 features fit the Sambai perfectly. Obito said. The information was collected by Uchiha Itachi. According to the traces left at the scene, it was indeed done by the Sambai. Naruto smirked. Very well, then leave the Sambai to me. Naruto has swallowed 8 Bija's chakra, plus Sambai, 9 Bija's chakra is amazing. Obito hesitated. Actually, this matter can be left to the Akatsuki. The Akatsuki didn't participate in the capture of the Nibi human pillar force and the Nambai human pillar force. As a result, I directly took it out. Now that guy is suspicious of me. Naruto raised his eyebrows unhappily. There was such a guy in the Akatsuki. Naruto wanted to kill Zetsu. Naruto also believed that he could do it with his current strength. Even if Zetsu had a special immortal attribute and couldn't kill Naruto, he had a way to seal him. But the problem was that once Zetsu died, the Akatsuki would lose its most powerful intelligence network. White Zetsu was a super soldier made by Otsutsuki Kagaya with infinite Tsukuyomi. The only one who could control them was Kagaya Otsutsuki and Black Zetsu, who was born in her consciousness. Unless Naruto became the Jubi. For various reasons, Zetsu couldn't be moved yet. Even if he wanted to move, he had to wait until Orochimaru died. Obito saw that Naruto didn't speak and continued. If you give the Sambai to me, it will be even harder to explain. Since he couldn't kill him now, it was best not to let him notice. Otherwise, if he joined forces with Orochimaru, it wouldn't be fun. That's fine. I'll leave the Sambai to the Akatsuki. By the way, let Zetsu continue to look for Orochimaru. The Akatsuki's pursuit of Orochimaru can't be stopped. It must be carried out. He ended the call with Obito. Naruto lay on the sofa for a long time without saying anything. Naruto also admired Orochimaru's ability to hide. 2 years ago, Hirako completed the complete integration of the Underground Exchange. With the Underground Exchange's intelligence network, even how many times a daimyo went to the toilet and how many minutes they spent in the toilet can be found. But Orochimaru's information, nothing was found. During this period, the Akatsuki's intelligence network has been searching. That is all the White Zetsu led by Zetsu. How strong is the White Zetsu's intelligence network? As long as there are plants, as long as the roots of the plants are entangled together, Zetsu can infiltrate. Where there are people above ground, there is the Underground Exchange's intelligence network. Where there are plants underground, there is the White Zetsu's intelligence network. Also, there is Naruto's satellite in the sky. The satellite electronic camera was installed last year. Although the effect is not ideal, it can be regarded as a great help. But even so, they couldn't find Orochimaru. Hide. When you feel that you are my opponent, you should jump out. I hope you won't let me down at that time. Chapter 560. Snow Country, the living room of the Great Snow Mountain Research Institute. Naruto, Tsunade, Hinata, and Tubaru were enjoying afternoon tea. For Tubaru, Naruto originally wanted to transplant a pair of eyes for her. But he didn't expect that Tubaru's eye disease was not related to her eyes, but to her brain development. Naruto couldn't do anything about it. In the end, he could only upgrade Dolphin's external equipment. Tubaru. I don't know how Shizen is doing. Tsunade looked at the teacup and whispered. Tubaru heard someone call her name, and looked at Tsunade with the floating camera. Who is this Shizen that Sister Tsunade is talking about? Tsunade was stunned. Tsunade said that Tubaru was a pig, but she forgot that there was a little girl in front of her who was also called Tubaru. When she was thinking about how to answer, Naruto said, a young lady with a bad temper and early menopause. Tsunade rolled her eyes at Naruto. You're a big boy. Don't you feel ashamed to hold a grudge until now? Naruto curled his lips. He will remember Shizen's prank on his hair for a lifetime. Tsunade-san, if you're worried about Shizen, just bring her here. Of course, she's not allowed to live in the snow country. In the past 2 years, after the underground exchange was incorporated by Naruto, Naruto also checked Shizen's information. After Tsunade left the land of demons, Shizen stayed in the land of demons. Moreover, she was already married and had children. Tsunade rolled her eyes at Naruto again. She's already married. What's the point of bringing her here? Isn't that disturbing her life? Naruto didn't care and said, then bring the whole family here. The snow country is such a big place, it's not a big deal to accommodate one person. When she said that, Tsunade thought of the villagers of Takigakure who had just moved in. Only Naruto could think of such a thing and do it. Tsunade was a little excited. He asked, is the land of ghosts safe recently? Naruto laughed a little. I knew you must be worried. In terms of security, the land of demons has always been a neutral country. There are no ninjas in the village, so ordinary wars shouldn't affect them. Ordinary wars wouldn't affect them, but it was hard to say if they weren't ordinary wars. For example, natural disasters, or the demon lord that the witches of the land of demons were guarding, or Yomi, who had come to unseal the demon lord. Calculating the time, the incident in the country of ghosts was about to happen. Sister Tsunade, you've been to the land of demons. Have you seen the witches of the land of demons? I heard that the witches of the land of ghosts can predict the life and death of people. Tsunade replied, I went to the land of demons at that time to hide my identity. I couldn't even hide. Who would want to see her? Indeed, a fugitive running in front of a public figure was tantamount to an old man hanging himself. Then are the rumors about the witch true? I heard that the witches of the land of demons sealed a demon. Tsunade shook her head and said, I don't know. If it's true, it should be recorded in the Woodleaf file, but that kind of high-authority document should only be read by Naruto. Naruto continued to look at Tsunade. Tsunade took a sip of tea and saw Naruto staring at her impatiently. What are you looking at me for? Although I've been Naruto for a few days, who has nothing to do with the files. I'm so busy with work every day. Well, Naruto can confirm that Tsunade didn't know. That's right, if she knew, Tsunade wouldn't hesitate to take Shizen over. Instead, she asked Naruto to take Shizen over 3 years ago. While they were chatting, Tobirama walked in. The moment she saw Tobirama, Tsunade's crossed legs were instantly closed, and her crooked body on the sofa was straight. She called out honestly, Second Grandpa. Tobirama nodded slightly, turned around, and saluted Naruto solemnly. Saluting is the military etiquette introduced after the reorganization of the team. Naruto originally exempted Tobirama from saluting him, but Tobirama has been insisting. He can't be special, and military management must be strictly implemented. Tobirama saluted Naruto, and Tsunade poked Naruto with knife-like eyes. Naruto could only pretend that he didn't see it. After Tobirama left, Naruto laughed and said, Where were we just now? Tsunade didn't answer, and Hinata on the side quickly helped Naruto out. We were just talking about the land of demons. We were talking about whether to take Shizen-san to the land of snow. Naruto tentatively asked Tsunade again, Tsunade-san? What do you think? Although I don't want to take that guy over, if you want, you can make an exception. You are my sensei, right? Naruto flattered a little. Tsunade's face eased. Women have to be praised, no matter how old they are. This is something Naruto has deeply felt in recent years. Tsunade thought about it seriously, shook her head and said, Don't disturb them, the land of snow is not necessarily safer than the land of demons. Speaking of this, Tsunade looked at Naruto with complicated eyes. What Naruto wanted to do, Tsunade didn't deliberately explore, but after 3 years in the land of snow, she guessed some of it. She knew how ambitious her apprentice was. Although she didn't like to see her second grandpa saluting Naruto on the surface, she was actually a little proud. She knew how proud her second grandpa was, but this proud person was willing to listen to her apprentice's words. It could be seen that her apprentice was not ordinary. Naruto shrugged. Well, I originally planned to take Shizen to the land of demons when I went to the land of demons. Since you don't trust the safety of the land of snow, I will do my own thing. Tsunade was stunned. You want to go to the land of demons? Naruto nodded. Tsunade asked, to do what? Naruto said casually, to see the witch who can predict life and death. If it's true, I will ask her to tell my fortune. Tsunade crossed her legs again, leaned her body on the sofa, and despised. Predicting the future is not real at all. She can't even predict the size of the dice. How can she predict? Tsunade said to herself. Naruto's eyes had begun to stare at Tsunade, listening to the meaning of Tsunade's words. It's not that I haven't seen it, I'm afraid. Tsunade-ne-sen, you have seen the witch of the land of demons? Tsunade's mouth was slightly open, and her face was full of self-blame. Naruto continued to ask, you not only saw it, but also took her to gamble? Tsunade said perfunctorily, I'm just curious. Many people in the land of demons are afraid of that girl. I took her outside for a walk. Naruto's mouth twitched. She went to the casino for a walk. This teacher of his was really a talent. At the same time, Wood Leaf received a mission from the land of demons to protect the witch, Aster. Kakashi looked at the scroll with a worried face. Wood Leaf is now in need of people. How can they send people out? Haniwa, check the land of demons for me. Kakashi shouted, and a tall woman walked out of the secret office in Naruto's office. If Naruto was here, he would recognize that this person was the medical ninja, who taught him medical ninjutsu, Haniwa Fujishan. Yes. Haniwa Fujishan bowed slightly, seemingly respectful, but her eyes glared at Kakashi, and then went to get the file. Kakashi muttered in a low voice, glare at me, you think I can't teach you a lesson? Chapter 561. It didn't take long for Hanatsuki to bring back the files of the land of demons. Then with a bang, she slammed it on the desk, stirring up a cloud of dust. Kaka coughed exaggeratedly and pretended to blame her. Can't you see such a big pile of dust? Believe it or not, I'll fire you. Hanatsuki didn't expect such a big pile of dust, but she wasn't afraid at all. She stared at Kakashi and said, then hurry up and fire me. I have to thank you. Kakashi pretended to be magnanimous. I'll let it go this time, but be careful next time. Hanatsuki snorted contemptuously. Then, she found a clean rag and cleaned the dust on the desk and the files. While Hanatsuki was cleaning, Kakashi watched from the side. The usual cold and serious eyes disappeared, and there was a trace of tenderness in his eyes, as well as a very enjoyable satisfaction. Kakashi and Hanatsuki knew each other. The main reason was Naruto. Originally, according to Sandaime Naruto's idea, the women in each team should serve as medical ninjas. But Naruto insisted on learning medical ninjutsu. In this way, 2 members of Kakashi's team left at once. In addition, Kakashi was concerned about Naruto, and often secretly observed Naruto. After a while, he and Hanatsuki got to know each other. But in terms of feelings, when Naruto was still in Wood Leaf, the two didn't make much progress. The main reason was that Hanatsuki didn't like ninjas, and thought that ninjas were the cause of casualties and misfortune. Until Naruto left, Kakashi began to hang around because of the news of Naruto's death. During that time, Kakashi was almost Tion was beaten by Jiraiya. Sometimes it was like eating 3 meals a day, so Kakashi was sent to the hospital more and more often. In this way, the two of them had more contact. In addition, the two of them had one thing in common, which was that their disciple had died, Naruto. The two of them became familiar with each other, and became friends. But during this time, Kakashi's heart was dead, and he wasn't in the mood to talk about love. Hanatsuki came out of the shadow of her disciple's death before Kakashi. After all, for a medical ninja, she saw more death than ordinary people, not to say numb, but she could accept it. So Hanatsuki, who came out of the shadow first, began to help Kakashi to come out of the shadow. She often took the initiative to chat with Kakashi about the weather, or about what she wanted to do if she didn't want to be a ninja anymore. At that time, Hanatsuki, Kakashi was Hanatsuki, Hanatsuki Tsuki's Tsuki, Tsuki's Hanatsuki, Hanatsuki. Hanatsuki supported Kakashi's retirement from the ninja profession, and then become a businessman, or buy a piece of land, build a ranch, or some other interesting profession, even including acting. Later, Hanatsuki pointed at Jiraiya's nose and scolded him. Not to mention, from then on, the number of times Jiraiya beat Kakashi significantly decreased. At least when Hanatsuki was present, Jiraiya wouldn't do anything. At most he would use his mouth. Therefore, Hanatsuki became Kakashi's talisman. Every time he was chased by Jiraiya, he would find Hanatsuki to hide. After a while, the two of them became more familiar with each other. Later, Jiraiya told Kakashi that Naruto was still alive. Kakashi agreed to take the position of Naruto. For this reason, for a long time, Hanatsuki ignored Kakashi, so Kakashi used Naruto-sama's power to make Hanatsuki his secretary. That's how the scene in front of him happened. After cleaning the dust on the table, Hanatsuki said to Kakashi, "If there's nothing else, I'll go back to my room." Kakashi came back to his senses and said seriously, "I haven't cleaned it yet. Clean it up before you go." Hanatsuki looked around strangely. The table was spotless at this time because she wiped it with a wet towel, and then wiped it with a dry towel. There was also the file of the Land of Demons. She also brushed the dust on it with a brush. She really couldn't find any place that wasn't cleaned. She wondered, where else? Why don't I see it? Kakashi pointed to his face seriously. There's still a lot of dust on my face. Hanatsuki was stunned and rolled her eyes at Kakashi. Are you sure you want me to wipe it for you? With that, Hanatsuki took the rag that she used to wipe the table and put it on Kakashi's face. Kakashi stopped her and said, "Wait, change to this." With that, Kakashi opened a drawer and took out a pink towel. Hanatsuki was just about to mock Kakashi for using such a flirtatious color. But upon closer inspection, this towel looked familiar. It seemed to be the one that belonged to her. She remembered that it was raining that day, when Jiraiya threw Kakashi into the ditch in front of her house. The atmosphere was a bit romantic for a while. Kakashi looked at Hanatsuki expectantly. Hanatsuki picked up the towel. Then she saw a book under the towel, Intimate Strategy, by Jiraiya. Pervert. With that, Hanatsuki turned around and returned to her secretary's office, taking the towel with her. Kakashi was completely petrified. I screwed up again. And I even put a precious towel on it. It was all this book's fault. Kakashi picked up the book and was about to throw it in the trash. But, after thinking about it, he put it back and closed the drawer. Out of sight, out of mind. Kakashi let out a long sigh and picked up the Land of Demons dossier with a dead fish expression. Sealed demonic creatures? Puppet army? What's this? Kakashi paused for a moment and put away his lazy expression, replaced by a serious expression. He looked at the Land of Demons mission. S-rank mission. Protect the Land of Demons which. Reward. 500,000 Ryo in advance. Mission description. Recently, invaders have appeared in the Land of Demons. The witch prophesied that the seal on the Lord of Demons will be lifted. Demons, the Lord of Demons prophesy? Kakashi originally had doubts about these unreliable words. He thought that they were alarmist words that would force the ninja village to send powerful ninjas. It wasn't like this hadn't happened before. And it happened quite often. Some rich merchants would exaggerate things in order to hire powerful ninjas, in order to hire ninjas that fit the price they paid. These people have one thing in common, that is, they don't lack money and cherish their lives. This method has long been no secret, and everyone has a tacit understanding. But Woodleaf's dossier has a clear record, so it's a different story. Kakashi frowned and whispered, "Why at this time, Woodleaf is also short of people now." He looked at the Land of Demons location. Kakashi's frown deepened. The Land of Demons is not far from Woodleaf, and it's connected to the original location of the Land of Earth. Don't look for Kimogakure, look for Woodleaf. This can be understood as the Land of Demons and Woodleaf have business dealings. It's the Land of Demons trust in Woodleaf, and it can be regarded as a regular customer. But if it's Kimogakure, then things are bad. If Woodleaf sends out their elites, and Kimogakure attacks Woodleaf at this time, it will be a big joke. 500,000 Ryo in advance, that is 500,000 Ryo in advance, and later on, according to the progress of the matter, this price is already a lot. But at the moment of life and death, Not to mention 500,000 Rio. Even 10 times more is not enough to make Woodleaf take the risk. Kakashi thought about it. Then he decided to refuse this task and proposed to let the land of demons find Kumogakure. This way, if it's a conspiracy, it will be avoided. If it's not a conspiracy, it won't be a problem. Kakashi thought about it again. If it's not a conspiracy, Woodleaf can also take the opportunity to capture the land of Earth. Thinking of this, Kakashi couldn't help but say to himself, "Have I become sinister?" Then he comforted himself. It's not sinister, it's wisdom. All is fair in war. Well, then I should send someone to collect information. Chapter 562. The next day, the daimyo of the land of demons received a reply from Woodleaf. Woodleaf politely refused the commission and proposed to let the land of demons find the nearby Kumogakure. To be precise, the Kumogakure that occupied Iwagakure's territory, the land of New Thunder. Sama, what should we do now? The daimyo of the land of demons sat behind the curtain and looked at the scroll returned by Woodleaf. Woodleaf actually refused the commission. It seems that Woodleaf is no longer the Woodleaf of the past. I just don't know if the good days of the land of fire are coming to an end. I really want to see that person's face. Speaking of this, the person behind the curtain laughed. The laughter was sharp, like a eunuch in the palace. The person outside the curtain waited for the person inside to laugh and wait for the next order. The person behind the curtain was tapping the scroll in his hand. This was a man who looked like he was in his 50s. His eyes were like willow leaves, thin and narrow. At this time, he narrowed his eyes and smiled coldly. Woodleaf suggested to ask for help from the Kumogakure. Interesting. Well, why the Kumogakure? Sanin is not far away. Oh, I see. Interesting. This new Naruto is not bad. Forget it, the one in the land of fire is still a bit related to me. If his good days are over, I won't get any benefits. With that, the daimyo threw out the scroll. Give a mission to the Kumogakure. Double the reward, pay 1 million Rio in advance. Forget it, give me more, 2 million Rio, so they won't be tempted and delay things. The person outside the curtain bowed, took the scroll, and left. At the same time, Naruto hasn't set off yet. However, the movements of the land of demons didn't escape Naruto's eyes and ears. Although the Underground Exchange's intelligence network can't find Orochimaru, it's not difficult to monitor the news of the land of demons. Therefore, Naruto thought of going to the land of demons at this time. Sister Tsunade, we're about to leave. Are you sure you don't want to go? Naruto took Hinata's hand and greeted Tsunade. Tsunade waved her hand. I'm old, I don't want to run around. You can go. By the way, Hinata, come here for a moment. I have something to tell you. Hinata listened to Tsunade's words and walked over. Then a dark hemisphere enveloped the two of them, isolating them from sight and sound. This was one of the new technologies that had been developed in recent years. The real purpose of the black sphere was to make large objects invisible. The surface of the black sphere could completely simulate the surrounding environment without any blind spots. When Naruto saw the two of them hiding behind the barrier, he could not help but be stunned. There were only 3 people in the living room: Tsunade, Hinata, and him. Once the barrier was activated, it was clear that it was guarding against him. You even whispered behind my back? You're not talking bad about me, are you? Naruto had a suspicious look on his face. Inside the black sphere, Tsunade said to Hinata earnestly, Hinata, this is a good opportunity for you and Naruto to go out alone. You have to take advantage of it, understand? Hinata did not expect Tsunade to suddenly say this and suddenly became shy. But seeing Tsunade's serious expression, she nodded. I know. Tsunade asked. Then what are you going to do? Hinata was confused. Huh? Tsunade continued. Didn't you say you knew? Then what are you going to do? Hinata's brain was dizzy. She didn't know what to do. She just answered casually. Tsunade continued to look at Hinata with encouragement in her eyes. Hinata thought for a moment. Talk to him more? Tsunade continued to watch. Hinata bit her lip. Dress yourself up beautifully? Tsunade continued to watch. Hinata's face was red, like a ripe peach, pink and cute. Tsunade waited for a long time, but Hinata didn't say anything, so she said directly, "You should take more initiative," such as, Tsunade whispered in Hinata's ear. Hinata's face continued to heat up. Boom. Steamboat exploded again. The black sphere faded until it disappeared. Hinata lowered her head and slowly returned to Naruto's side. Tsunade waved her hand. "Let's go. Don't bully Hinata on the way." Naruto glanced at Tsunade suspiciously, then lowered his voice and said to Hinata, "Did Tsunade-san say something bad about me? Tell me secretly." Hinata shook her head again and again. Naruto asked, "Then tell me secretly, what did she say to you?" Hinata was even more confused. How could she say that kind of thing? Fortunately, at this time, Tsunade said, "It's a private conversation between women. Why are you asking?" Then she changed the topic. "I met Shizune. Ask her if she wants to come. If she doesn't want to, don't force her. After all, she's married. Thinking about problems is no longer a matter of one person. She also has to consider her family's thoughts." Naruto knew that Tsunade was changing the topic, but he didn't pursue it. Hinata didn't tell him now because Tsunade was beside him. "It wouldn't be too late to ask later," he replied. "I know, I don't want to bring her here. Don't worry, if she doesn't want to give up her family's land, I definitely won't be so shameless as to tie her up and bring her back." Naruto pulled Hinata's hand, but Hinata suddenly nervously avoided it. Naruto. Tsunade must have said something bad about him. Absolutely. Naruto, who was about to leave, glared at Tsunade's back. Then Naruto tried to pull Hinata's hand again. Fortunately, Hinata didn't avoid it this time. Otherwise, Naruto felt that he would be embarrassed to death. Being disliked by his own girlfriend was a big loss of face. But although Hinata didn't avoid it, her small hand was shaking. She was very nervous. Feeling Hinata's nervousness, Naruto was more certain of his guess. Tsunade's unscrupulous sensei definitely said something bad about him. So after leaving the heavy snow mountain, Naruto asked again when he was out of Tsunade's sight. "Hinata, tell me, did Tsunade-san say something bad about me? If she did, you should tell me and let me have a chance to defend myself." Hinata shook her head and explained to Tsunade, "No, Tsunade-san didn't say anything bad about you." Naruto didn't believe this sentence. "Why are you so nervous if you didn't say anything bad about me? It's as if you're afraid that I'll eat you up." Naruto was very depressed, and at the same time, he couldn't help but begin to speculate what Tsunade said. Naruto felt that it was most likely that she told Hinata to be careful of him outside. For example, a sneak attack at night, or something like that. Am I, Naruto, that kind of person? No, I must not let these women look down on me. I can't let Hinata have a bad impression of me. Naruto secretly made up his mind that when he arrived at the land of demons, he must get 2 rooms at the hotel. Not only that, but other actions must be done strictly according to the rules of a gentleman. Gentle and elegant, respectful as a guest. Thinking of this, Naruto let go of Hinata's small hand. There seems to be a gentleman's rule that men and women shouldn't touch each other. If Tsunade saw this scene in front of her, she didn't know if she would cry because of Naruto's stupidity. Hinata felt that Naruto suddenly let go of her hand, and her heart suddenly became empty. She looked up at Naruto in confusion. Is Naruto-kun angry? But how could she say that kind of thing? Hinata was tangled. On the other side of Wood Leaf, Kakashi finally decided who to send. Hinata Ninji and Sakai with Byakugan. There was no teacher to lead the team, just these 2 people. Their task was also very simple. They were responsible for monitoring the intersection of the Land of Demons and Kimogakure. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.